Yo, what is good, everybody? Thank you for watching, and today is the special Just Visiting episode of the Batman review. So we're going to be reviewing that. Spoilers. We'll give a little bit of a spoiler free beforehand, but
We'll
it's gonna be,
try.
we'll try. No promises, because I think we said that one time, and then we started right into spoilers, and we were like, oh snap. But anyways, so yes, we are going to be we're going to be talking about it today, and it is awesome. So we got a couple comments here. We're gonna shout them out real fast. We got a what's up?
Already?
Yeah, from Katie. She said what's up. So what's up, Katie? Thank you for joining the stream today. We're gonna talk about the Batmans, and then also Derpy Gaming, who has been on here before. They said they saw it Tuesday night at the fan event, and they're going to see it again tonight. I'm gonna try to see it again tomorrow. My wife wants to go because she didn't go with me. I also saw it. Jonathan, you saw it at the fan event too, right?
I did. Got the comic book and everything.
Got the comic book. Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but I'm gonna go through
You're not
it.
missing anything.
Well, I mean, it's just a long Halloween. I really did think it was gonna be like a actual piece of the movie, like a prelude to the movie, because they have those, but I haven't read them. So, but I'm looking forward to reading it. So, anyways, but Jonathan, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Great. I'm doing well. Doing awesome. I enjoy doing this on Saturdays. It's kind of relaxing. I'm enjoying it. But anyways, so Jonathan and I saw the Batman the same night, Tuesday, for the fan event, which was great. I saw it with my brother, and we were hoping, uh, we were hoping that we could have somebody else on to talk about it, but we couldn't get anybody today. So all of our contacts were busy, which it was kind of late notice when we asked them, but it's all good.
Shows how loved we
Um,
are in the community, right?
yeah, I know. Also, real quick, just so you guys know, if you don't know what Just Visiting is about, it's just a show where every week Jonathan and I talk about all different kinds of things. We talk a lot about superhero news because that's something we love to talk about, but we also talk about sports. We talk about lifestyle stuff. Sometimes we talk about politics. We try to keep that on the DL because we don't like to spoil everything else that we're talking about. Love to talk about movies, TV shows, all different kinds of stuff, just culture stuff, what's going on in the culture. So that's what we're here and that's what we're about. So we hope that we can add a little bit to your day, and if you put some stuff in the chat, it adds to our day. So we really appreciate that. But anyways, let's not waste any time. Let's get into it. But before we do, gotta play a little video to get us
Yo,
ready.
man, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why everybody messing with the Batmans?
See? That's exactly what I've been asking myself.
It don't make no sense.
Why would you do it?
Why would you do that? Why would you try and mess with the Batman?
It's futile.
It is.
It is. Why? It's futile, man. It's futile. Don't be messing with the Batmans. Don't mess with the Batmans. Now, that's what the Riddler found out. He said, "Don't be messing with the Bat." Which, I mean, did he find out not to mess with the Batmans? I don't know.
In jail, though. I mean, I guess that's finding out, right?
That's true. That's true. Anyways, all right. Let me play our stinger that Jonathan handpicked, and then we'll get started. Just movie reviews. Whoosh. All right, awesome. So there's our handpicked. I had a better one, but Jonathan liked the low key transition, so I don't know why. But the other one was a lot more professional looking. It was cooler and it was bright. Decided to stick with the one where I did the voiceover, which I was just trying to be goofy. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started on this, and we're going to go ahead and talk. So non-spoilers first, and this is going to be a short review. I'm just going to say I really liked the movie. I want to say I loved the movie, but I need to see it again to really say I loved it. Let me just say this, though. There were so many things about the movie that I did love. Like, I remember talking to Jonathan afterwards, and when I left the movie, I was really confused because it wasn't really what I expected, which is why I need to see it again. Because, whenever you see a movie the first time, sometimes your expectations can ruin it for you, because if it's different than what you expected, it's hard for you to say... It's hard for you to really review it properly, if that makes sense. It's just kind of like, oh, man, I'm a little let down, but am I let down because, like, the movie was bad, or because, like, it just didn't do what I was hoping it would do? And does that make it a bad movie because it didn't meet my expectations? I don't think it is. But that's why I that's why I'm looking forward to reviewing it here with you and seeing it again. So anyways, basically, real quick, I enjoyed the movie. 3-hour movie. I thought it actually is a little long. I think there's some stuff they could have done to make it. I think the movie would have been better if they cut out certain stuff. But I would say overall it was really solid. Jonathan, what'd you think? Non-spoilers.
Yeah, I'm of the same mindset. I mean, I thought it was. I left the theater very conflicted as well. And I will say my initial reaction was maybe not as high as it was after I like gave the movie some time to sink in and really think about it. But the basic premise of the movie, for those of you guys who you don't know, or if you're just wondering what the basic premise is, basically Batman, and a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about is in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything for you guys. But Batman is basically in the second year. Now, I want to be clear. A lot of people are confused what second year means. It doesn't mean this is his full, like he's done 2 years as Batman. This is this is the beginning of his second year. So this is not like he's been Batman for 2 years. He's only Batman for 1 year, and this is the beginning of his second year. And so basically he's been working in Gotham for a while. And now a new villain has come up, who is the Riddler, and his job is to obviously solve the riddles and find the Riddler and then stop his plan or whatever. It's a basic story. So nothing super surprising there. But overall, after giving the movie some time to sink in, and I think I will go watch it again to confirm what I thought about the movie. Overall, I do think I enjoyed the movie. I'll say I enjoyed the movie. But
I think I liked it a little bit more than Jonathan did.
Yeah.
Would you say that's probably accurate?
Yeah.
Not like overwhelmingly. Like, it's not like Jonathan hates it. I don't want to speak for him, but
no, I don't hate the movie.
No, I would say it's it's definitely a good Batman movie. Batman is the center of this movie.
Absolutely.
Not Bruce Wayne. Batman is the center of the movie. He is what the whole story revolves around. I will say this, I've been telling people this a lot because I really don't think people understood that there's like, excuse me, something weird happened through my throat. There's like no action in this movie at all. Like, there's very little. There is some action scenes, but it's definitely not as bombastic as like the Christopher Nolan scenes, like even in Christopher Nolan, even when he didn't have action scenes, he had these huge like spectacles. Like I was thinking like in The Dark Knight, you remember the scene where he jumps from the tower and he's like just flying like
Yeah.
through the air, like that in and of itself. In my brain I count that as an action scene because I'm like, even though he's not fighting anybody, it's this huge like spectacle where it's like, whoa, that's so cool looking, like, and it just grabs your attention. This is very much a detective story. The story is about solving a case, solving a crime. So there's a lot of Batman standing, walking around, going over clues. There's a lot of that. It leans into that pretty heavy, and that may actually determine whether you like the movie or not.
Yeah, yeah. It's not your typical superhero movie for sure. So
Yeah.
if you're like, I like Infinity War, I like the big battles, I like Civil War.
Yeah.
This may not be the movie like that you're absolutely in love with. You'll still walk away like this was a pretty good movie, but you may not be
Yeah.
like this is my top 5, or it may not be your top in your top
Yeah.
3 Batman movies of all time.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if Marvel is your go-to superhero franchise, you're like, I just love Marvel and everything they do, you might not like this movie.
Yeah,
You might not. Now, Jonathan and I both like Marvel movies, but we also understand the character of Batman on a much deeper level than I think other people don't. And I wouldn't even say we're the most hardcore Batman fans either. I mean, we're both wearing Batman stuff today, and I have Batman Funko Pops. Yep, where my thumb's at, basically right over there. But I mean, I know people who are much more like, I haven't really read that many Batman comics, but I've watched a lot of Batman animated stuff, and I've read a few of his comics, so I understand the character a little bit more deeper than other people do. So this is very much a like, if you are a fan of Batman, like it's funny, Derpy Gaming just posted what I was about to say in the comments on YouTube. But if you are a fan of Batman, you'll most likely enjoy this movie because it has so many like nods to the comics and nods to like the video games, like all these different things. Like I remember when I first, at the beginning of the movie, this isn't a spoiler, but like when you see these really tall skyscrapers, it kind of looks like Times Square a little bit. It just immediately reminded me of Arkham Knight, because in Arkham Knight there's a place that you can play in, the place of the city that has like these big huge skyscrapers, and it kind of looks like Times Square a little bit, and it's but Gotham is definitely its own character. I would say this is the best Gotham we've ever gotten, in my opinion. Would you agree with that, or what do you think?
In a movie, probably.
Yeah.
on like just media in general, no, I don't think. I mean, I still hold Gotham in a very high esteem. I think that's probably the best Gotham I've ever seen.
That in that show, the city is the character, right?
Yeah,
like that's
yeah.
like a. So I would agree with you on that, but I just mean purely from the movie's perspective.
I think it's probably the best Gotham we've gotten.
Yeah, I think so.
Batman Begins is a close second. Just to let you all know, I just rewatched the Batman, Christopher Nolan series, so that's why I may be quoting it a lot or talking about it a lot in comparison. But no, this is like, if you like whodunit mysteries, or if you like Law and Order kind of deals where it's just a lot about investigative work, trying to figure out the clues and stuff like that, you'll enjoy the movie, and that's why I want to separate this from like action movies, because this is not really an action movie. It's more of an investigative detective kind of mystery movie than it is an action movie. I mean, it's not super deep. Like it's not like a surprise, surprise, I didn't know who it really was kind of deal. But it is still pretty investigative. And like he was saying before, Batman is at the center of all of it. So
yeah, which I mean, I'll be honest, like the first, and this doesn't mean the rest of the movie was bad, but the first 15 to 20 minutes of this movie are probably one of my favorite scenes from a Batman movie.
Yeah.
Like, because it basically sums up the character of Batman.
Who Batman is, yeah.
Yeah, in like a really short amount of time, and it's just like, it gives you like, if you know the character, it kind of gives you cold chills a little bit, because you're like, oh, that's so dope, like it's so cool. But I won't even talk about what the scene's about, but
not yet at least. We won't do it yet.
Not yet. We're about to.
Give me some time to log
off. but yeah, it was. I mean, I loved the whole like first 15 minutes was just amazing. Um, the So this is the question. Before we end our spoiler-free review, you kind of gotten an idea. Uh, and we're not going to talk about characters, I don't think. We're just talking about the overall quality of the movie. Um, did you think that it was better than The Dark Knight? And you don't have to go into great detail. That's the question everybody's asking, right? That's the question everybody wants to know is it the best Batman movie ever? That was the first question I got from someone. They were like, is it better than The Dark Knight?
I'm gonna preface my comments with I'm want to go see the movie again, and when I watch it again, I think I'll have a better understanding of where I would rank the movie as my Batman movies. But as of now, no, I don't think it's better than Dark Knight Rises. And if I'm being again, and then this is subjective.
Wait, you mean The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises?
No, sorry, Dark Knight.
Oh, okay.
But this is subjective. I'm not objectively saying that this is true. But I'm just saying, in my opinion, I do think that Batman Begins is still a better movie than this one was.
Really? Okay.
I do
so you think
that.
You think Batman Begins is...
But that's just again I've seen Batman Begins like 3 times now, or maybe 4.
I think the thing with the Christopher Nolan movies is that people, I feel like lately I've heard a lot of people dogging the entire franchise. They're like, The Dark Knight was the only good one. I'm like, that's not true. I really like Batman Begins a lot, and I would agree with you as far as Gotham goes. They did a good job of that movie of portraying Gotham.
Yeah.
A little bit better. I still think the Batman does a much better job because it just seems to add more character to it. And also, there's a point in this movie where you're like, wow, this city is straight garbage. Like, why would anyone want to live here? Like, you kind of feel that. But, by the way, real quick, I got to shout out, this dude is just a champ for being in the comments, but he thinks that Derpy Gaming does agree that he thinks it's better than The Dark Knight, which I think is fair. So, my whole thing when I saw this movie, and I agree with you, to be able to firmly say yes, it is better, or no, it's not better, I think I need to see it a second time to really get that kind of understanding. But, my argument was I could definitely, if somebody said I objectively think this movie is better than The Dark Knight, I would understand why they picked it.
Yeah.
Like that's not an outrageous statement to say, in my opinion. If an outrageous statement to me would be like if somebody was like Batman 89 was better than The Dark Knight. I would be like, are you serious? Like, that's not like the original, the very first Batman movie was way better than The Dark Knight. I loved it. I would be like, okay, that's your opinion.
Well, it does depend though. It does depend on how old you are, right? Because if your first experience of Batman was the Detective Comics, then that probably is your favorite Batman, honestly. Like, this guy, I mean,
well, I mean, that's the thing though, is that's just kind of, but it seems outrageous from an objective standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like,
I agree.
If you watch the two movies, they are different, but they're both the Batman versus the Joker, and I think Christopher Nolan's tells the story of that way better than the OG one does.
Can I say this? I will say, if anyone says that The Dark Knight is better than this movie, The Batman is better than The Dark Knight, my question to you is, when was the last time you watched The Dark Knight?
Yeah.
And then if you haven't watched it in a while, go watch it again and then come to a conclusion. Because I honestly don't think a lot of people have seen that movie in a while. And they're just kind of speculating based off of what they remember of the movie. Yeah. Because I literally just watched it like yesterday. So it's really fresh in my mind. And I do not think this movie is up to that standard. But again, I will see it again to give it a chance. I'm not saying it's like I'm settled on it. I'm just saying, having the Dark Knight fresh in my mind, it's like that movie was really, really well written. Really well written.
Yeah, definitely. So to answer the question from my end, I would say listen, when I first left the movie theater, I was like, I was gonna be like, yeah, I think it's better. Like, I was like, I think it's better. But then after I gave it some time to simmer, and I thought about it, and then I also watched some other people's reviews and takes on it. That helps me a little bit to kind of understand, like, well, is this better? And I would say that it is not better than The Dark Knight. However, that's after a first watching. I might be more solid in that after I watch it. and I don't have any hate for anybody who says that the Batman is better. Like I kind of, because I can definitely see, like, because in a lot of ways this Batman movie gave you everything that people have been asking from a Batman movie in recent years, in modern era. Like this, so for instance, what I mean by that is the Christopher Nolan movies, one of the biggest gripes that people had is that it's not very, you really don't see a lot of detective work. You see a lot of Batman being like, where are the drugs going? Where are the, you know, and he's just grabbing someone, and he's like, intimidation. Like you see a lot of intimidation. You see a lot of whenever he's trying to solve something, he kind of just, you know, there's even a joke. You were watching the Batman YouTube videos just a second ago, and there's even a joke in there where he's like, I'll analyze it in my computer. You know, like it's like that's kind of what he did, right? Like he would use his computer, punch some stuff in. We never really got to see what that was, and it was like, computer, go interrogate this person. I win. Like that was as far as the detective style went. That was it.
Yeah.
Now the story of the three movies altogether is very beautiful and very well written. And it tells a great Batman story. But as far as like that character side of Batman, where it was like he's the world's greatest detective, you never got that feeling from him in any of the movies really that we've ever seen. So that's why this movie does that so well. It's like, yeah, that's like really good. And it also, this is a very well-rounded Batman. I'm not going to talk about Bruce Wayne though. Bruce Wayne, they don't do as good of a job. But there's, again, I have complaints. I have reasons for that, which we'll get into spoilers in a little bit and talk about it. But anyways, I would say not as good as The Dark Knight, because in my mind, The Dark Knight has a lot of the elements that we don't get from this movie. But the Batman has a lot of elements in it that we don't get from the Christopher Nolan movies. So that's why I'm kind of like, it depends what you want out of your Batman. This Batman may feel like a whole lot more like the Batman, Robert Pattinson, may feel a whole lot more like what you like. Like I was talking to one of my former English teacher on Facebook, and she was like, I don't know. She's like, The Dark Knight, she's like, in my opinion, is the greatest comic book movie ever made. She was like, I don't think anybody will be able to touch it. And I was like, well, I said, listen, I was like, the Batman is it's not like The Dark Knight in the sense that The Dark Knight feels like a constant like roller coaster, like thrill ride. You just feel like, it's just like one thing after the other. It's just like if it was like, it's all bass, if that makes sense. Like it's just like boom, 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 boom. The whole movie, you're just like on the edge of your seat. And the Batman is not, it has that feel in the tone, but it's a lot more like, this is a slow ride it's gonna have a slow build. Whereas The Dark Knight felt more like just, it was a lot more bombastic and like one crazy event after the other, and it was just like, what is going on? So mainly because of the outrageousness of the Joker, the villain in that movie. So they're very different. One feels a lot more like an action movie. The other one feels more like a how did I describe it? Like a detective, not detective, but like a crime drama. That's how I would describe the Batman. Is it's more of a crime drama. And when I told her that, she was like, that does make a difference then. And I was like, yeah. I said, it depends, because they almost feel like two different genres.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah,
they almost feel like two different movies.
I agree with that.
And you're kind of like, which one's better? And it's like, well, it's kind of hard, because, you know, like, that's like comparing like a romance movie to, you know, like a psychological thriller. It's like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't really know what's better. Like it's kind of, like, I guess this one's better, but it depends what you like.
That's what I was going to say. It honestly does go back to your what you feel is what you want from Batman. Because like when I think about Dark Knight, I think it's one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. But the Batman might be a better Batman movie. Right.
Yeah, that's.
I think you could probably convince me of that. That's probably where I could like join hands with you guys. But if I'm just thinking about purely superhero, I'm like, man, the Dark Knight told a better superhero story. Like especially with involving the city. Like we've seen in Batman Begins, the city's super corrupt. No one cares about anybody really. And then like the Joker literally puts it in everyone's hands to like you decide your own fate, and Batman trusts the city, and they actually come through for to help him and whatnot. So
Yeah. Hmm.
that the joke.
You'll always lose. You're
the,
alone. That's what he says. You're alone. Anyways, sorry.
the villain obviously steals the show in the Dark Knight. Like
Hmm.
I don't think anyone would compare the Riddler to the Joker. I mean,
Hmm.
he honestly steals the entire movie. I think he even outperforms Christian Bale in that movie. He just does such a great
Yeah.
job.
His
All the
voice
ticks
is, bro.
and
I loved Robert Pattinson's voice.
yeah,
At first, I was like, I don't know how I like it, but the more I heard it, I was like, that's actually really
it
good. He
feels a
does
lot. It feels a lot more natural.
Yeah.
Christian Bale's feels a lot more campy. Like it feels like someone's trying to be Batman, and they're just like, I guess I talk like this, right?
I low key enjoyed his voice though when he did
The
it.
first
Like
movie was fine. The first movie was fine, but I feel like he still
nah,
learned his
man.
lesson.
I defended his voice so much. I was like, well, hey, I would be scared if somebody came up and talked to me that way. Like they like growling at me, like that would be scary. Anyways.
No, especially when in the Dark Knight Rises, it felt like he was like, you know what? Everyone hates it. I'm gonna just take it over the top. I'm gonna be like as gravelly as possible. I'm like, okay, we can barely hear you now. Like we can barely understand what you're saying.
Why can't you hear me?
Pull back a little bit. I don't hate it. I just think
Yeah.
they should have
Yeah.
he just should have just did a voice modifier. Like that just seemed like the most natural thing that Batman would do is just have a voice modifier in his cowl. So like when
Yeah.
he's speaking to someone,
Yeah. And then they gave us Ben Affleck, and I thought Ben Affleck, I thought his voice modifier was actually pretty good. Like
Yeah.
I didn't think it
Yeah.
was like stupid because you could have it be kind of weird, but it was one of those ones where it just was like you could still understand him, but it was very distorted.
Yeah.
So I was like, I kind of like that. Like that's fine. I would have rathered him do a voice, but like if you're gonna do a voice modifier, that's
No,
fine.
I don't want any more voices. And can
Yeah.
I say I will defend Tom Hardy's Bane until I die. So if anyone has a problem with his voice in that movie, you got a problem with me, okay? I actually really appreciated him doing a voice there. It added to the mythos of the Bane he was portraying. Like
Yeah.
I love that. And it fits the moment when
spirit?
he speaks.
Or your body.
Yeah.
Christ.
It like makes the moments when he speaks so much more impactful.
He also does. Tom Hardy does a lot of great. We're talking about Nolan for some reason now, but in our Batman,
I told you because it's
review.
so fresh on my mind. I literally just watched it. So.
Also, like Tom Hardy does really great expressive eyes in that movie when he's looking at people and he's like,
Yeah, like when he's
because you can't see his mouth, so he's just like, what do you think of this?
He's like,
And
the
it's
guy's like, what would happen if I take off that mask? He's like, it would be painful. For you.
for you. Yeah.
I'm telling you,
that's a great scene too. The beginning of that movie is really good.
It
Yeah.
it adds to his character a lot.
Um,
I will say when he speaks too much, that's when you can like start feeling a little cringe to it. But for the most part, when he speaks,
Yeah.
it's like it hits the action parts and the scenes a lot harder.
Do you think that's accurate? The comment he put LOL after it, so he's just kidding. But do you think?
No.
Do you think it's nostalgia?
No, I don't think. Again, like if it was nostalgia, I would see if I watched it like 3 years ago and I was like, oh man, remember this, and that was like my basis for my argument. I just think holistically as a superhero movie, its beats are better than the Batman because just because like one, it takes a long time for the movie to ramp up. I don't like all the characters. I don't think Catwoman is that great in the movie. Jim Gordon feels very one note, and he doesn't feel like he adds to the investigation or to the whole thing itself when you compare him with the Jim Gordon in The Dark Knight.
And guys, if you want more context to this argument, we're gonna get into spoilers, and that's when we'll probably unravel it a little bit more.
You'll hear more of what I disliked about the movie, but no, and just let me clarify. When I said earlier, like if you think it's better, check when you last watched it. I'm not saying that you can't, like even if you. I'm not saying you can't say that like if you watched it recently. If you've watched it recently and you think that the Batman's better than The Dark Knight, hats off to you. I'm happy for you. I'm glad you like the movie that much. That's great. I'm just saying a lot of people that I've heard say this movie is better haven't seen the movie since it came out or haven't seen it in like 2 years.
I've found that to be true as well.
Yeah. So
I found that to be true as well.
So my only thing is, if you're saying this is a better movie, make sure it wasn't because you watched it like
Yeah.
3 years ago.
He did watch it. The
Yeah,
guy who's
yeah,
commenting, he said
yeah.
he watched it
That's
2
why.
weeks
That's why.
ago.
That's
Yeah.
why I was responding. But
Yeah.
but if you watched it recently and you think it's better, that's great. Like I'm on board with
Mhm.
that. I just want to make sure that everyone is watching it with fresh eyes because a lot of people aren't
Yeah.
doing that, and then they're making these claims.
Mhm. Yeah, I would agree. Well, anyways, we'll call it quits there. So,
That was our
um,
spoiler free. We
yeah,
actually we actually did a good job, right? I thought we did a good
yeah,
job.
yeah,
We
we
didn't say
made it
anything.
quick. Made it quick. I would give it 8 out of 10 bats. Or
Really?
8 out of 10 riddles. Yeah, I mean, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. The reason it's getting an 8 though is for some story reasons, and for some of the characters. But story is really the main thing. The tone of the movie is amazing. The music is amazing. The score is really really good. Like I love the music in the movie. Um, like again, to go along with the tone, the detective noir feel is very nice. It feels kind of fresh in that way. It does. That's actually what separates it from Nolan, is that it feels like a fresh take on the character because of the detective noir feel. Also, all the scenes with Batman and Jim Gordon are amazing. It's more so when it, it's more so with how Jim Gordon gives his dialogue. That's really kind of what we're talking about. Which again, we'll get into that in a second, because that's where it comes for me. It's the same thing with Catwoman's dialogue. I thought she was written well. I just thought she didn't really act she didn't add a lot of personality to the character. The same thing with Jim Gordon. I liked both of honestly, the actors weren't bad. Like I didn't think they weren't the character. It was very one note, as far as, like Jonathan said, as far as like how the character acts for me.
Yeah.
So, anyways, sorry. Anyways, 8 out of 10 bats. What are you gonna give it?
I'm gonna go 7.8 orphans.
Orphans. Ah,
Yeah.
that's rough. What if I did like 8 out of 10 pairs of dead parents? Is that worse? Is that worse?
Hey, I when I was watching Batman Begins and his parents died, I just heard your voice in my head. I don't want to see two no-name actors get shot. No, but I think Thomas Wayne was someone important in the movie, right? Like he was an actual actor, right? Like
He might have been. I don't really remember. Are you
I'll
talking
look
about
it
in
up.
Batman Begins?
Yeah, in Batman Begins. I thought he
Yeah,
was someone that I knew.
I don't think he was no name. In Batman versus Superman, the guy who plays Thomas Wayne he's
guy,
from The
yeah.
Walking Dead, so he's not a no name. Um, anyways, okay. So we're gonna move on, guys. Spoiler-free review is over. So now it's time to get into spoilers. So if you're gonna watch this, spoilers, okay? Just letting you know, spoilers. And you know what? Maybe I'll create a special banner here. Okay. Add banner. Spoilers. Okay. And you know what? I'll edit that some more for everyone. Okay. We're gonna do it. There. Are you looking for the actor?
Well, I'm just looking at what he was in.
Oh, dang it! It didn't save it.
Oh, he was on Nonstop. He was in Nonstop.
He was
Yeah.
with Liam Neeson's.
Yeah.
Liam Neeson's. I love that freaking thing. There we go. Spoilers. Spoilers. Okay, there. We filled it up. Just keep that in mind. All right. So Jonathan.
Yes, sir.
So Jonathan.
You want to start off with some things that we liked?
Yeah, let's do that. And we can kind of start from the beginning of the movie towards the end and try to kind of go through there. Let's talk about the Batmans. So why don't you go first? What did you like about the movie?
I loved all the detective scenes. Every time that him and Jim Gordon had to like look at a scene or something like that, all those scenes were amazing. Those were some of the best scenes in the movie. Just their dialogue back and forth, him like figuring out things, and like him like seeing things where no one else saw, like the blood splatter on the floor, or the
There was that scene where he wasn't with Jim Gordon towards the end, where he saw the bat.
Yeah.
Was it the bat that he saw? He saw something.
Well, he also noticed the carpet thing,
The
and he like
carpet, that was it.
and then
Yeah,
ripped it up.
that's what it
That was
was.
that was cool. Um,
Mhm.
like you were talking about. So there is a moment in the first like 15-20 minutes of the film where Robert Pattinson's giving dialogue over on top of some scenes where some criminals are doing some things, and then the
Mhm.
bat signal flashes in the sky, and they all see it, and they instantly like their vision and the camera's vision turns with them to look at the shadows in the corners,
Mhm.
and it's like such a perfect scene about like
Mhm.
what Batman and what he
Yeah.
represents to criminals is that just
Mhm.
that fear that he's
Mhm.
like this might be the night that Batman actually steps out of the shadows to me and like I get
Mhm.
the butt whooping I deserve or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's like what is it like four different scenes of that like
Yeah.
four
There's
different
a,
instances?
they follow like a couple different criminals, and what's
Yeah,
crazy is like the criminals are just like out having a good time. They're just like breaking stuff, like ruining things, and then as soon as they see the light in the sky, they're like, "Oh snap! Like I should
yeah,
probably like go." And what's weird is that whoever they got to act in those scenes actually did a really good job. They literally look terrified. Like they
yeah,
look
yeah.
like their body language is like, I'm so scared now. And then my favorite scene was when I can't remember if he drops his gun or a flashlight or something, but then it rolls into like
The
basically an empty house or apartment, and it's like pitch black in there, like it's really dark, and he's just like, do I go in to get it or do I like stay here? And then he's just like backing away and he almost gets hit by a car.
yeah,
And I was
yeah.
just like, oh, that was so good. I was like, that's so good. I was just like laughing when I saw that. Like I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, I was like, that's so great. I love that so
And
much.
honestly, we're not doing the scene justice. Like the scene is
Yeah.
literally perfect. I don't think there's anything they could have done that would have made that scene
Mhm.
better. It was just
Mhm.
like, and the voiceover it adds to the
Mhm.
fear that you see the criminals feeling because he's talking,
Mhm.
describing the shadows and what his symbol represents to criminals and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And then you see him walk out of one of the shadows, and he like takes on like what 8 guys at once, and it's just
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
entrance was amazing. I don't think I've seen a better Batman entrance
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
That was hats off. That was perfect directing,
Yeah. It
perfect
was
everything.
it
And
was
his
great.
suit, you see his suit in the light and everything is oh
Mhm.
chef's kiss. That one deserves a chef's kiss for sure.
That's probably it's got to be my favorite scene in the movie because it's one of those scenes where like once the movie's been out and it's on YouTube, I'm probably gonna want to watch it occasionally. Like you know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like
yeah,
it's just one of those things where you're like, it's like some of the Joker's monologues in The Dark Knight. It's just like, they understand the character so well. Like the
yeah,
character is just so well done. And so that's the vibe you get from the director. I was like, the director's basically proving that he knows the character and he understands the character before the movie even starts.
yeah.
He's like, this is what Batman's about. He kind of almost tries to give him an origin, sort of, like in that scene. Also, that was another thing I liked about the movie is like, I was kind of glad we didn't get. I know Jonathan's like one of those OG like we need to see his parents. I need to see somebody get shot. Okay, I need to see somebody get shot. Who's the parents of Bruce Wayne? Like he's just
Oh,
very
he
into that.
was in it. Okay, I thought that was him. Sorry, I was just
What?
googling something just to make sure. You know the in the scene that we're talking about, the kid with the half face, and they're like, "Go get him," and he's like supposed to like beat this guy up, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was like, he looks so familiar. He looks exactly like Tim Drake from Titans, and I was like, "Is that him?" And I kept going, "No, I
It
don't
is
think
him.
so. It is him. It's him."
Oh, that's
So
funny.
I don't know what that
That's really
means.
funny.
I don't know if that's like
I don't think it
these
means
universes are
anything.
crossing over or
That would be funny though. That would be kind of interesting if they did. But
well, he was
yeah,
a criminal though
that's cool.
in the scene, so I'm not sure if that what that means going
I don't
forward.
know. I don't know, man. I don't know, but that was kind of interesting because I thought he looked a little familiar too.
Yeah,
But my wife and I have not finished Titans yet.
wow, you're not missing anything.
I know, but I just want to get it done, man. We've been stuck halfway through for a while because yeah. Anyways, 'cause she doesn't really feel like watching it. So, anyways, um, continuing. No, I thought that was great. I love that they weave his origin in really really well throughout the whole kind of story. Like they weave it together with the storyline. Um, it was really good. I loved his costume. His costume was honestly, it was pretty intimidating. The cowl, I liked. I found myself liking a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah,
Because it really displayed. You could see his eyes really well in the mask, so it really displayed like his eye movement a whole lot more than I thought. I love the contact lens thing. That was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that was cool. That was cool.
That was like how that was like his heads up display was like the contact lens. I was like, that makes way more sense than like if he just built a hub into his cowl. Because it's like, what if his cowl breaks? It's like he's still got his heads up display because he's got the contact lens in, and he can
Yeah.
use that to do different stuff. I was just like, that's so
And it
brilliant.
made a lot of
like,
sense that like he would go back and review the footage of the night because like I mean he's not like a superhuman like even though he
Yeah, that was a good ad too.
yeah it was
I like that
okay,
he was reviewing
he,
footage.
he actually does go back and look at this footage to make sure he remembers what happened that night and like he can go back and like even analyze what he did in the fight to make sure
And he had like
better
tons
next
of
time.
files. Did you
Yeah.
notice how many files he had of like
Yeah,
every night
yeah.
he'd been out? I thought that was great. I liked that. Also, I really liked the. I was wondering what you thought about it. I figured you would like it, but I liked that they really tried to push the vengeance thing for what
Yeah,
Batman
vengeance.
was. Yeah, and they told that throughout the whole story. Like there were times that people didn't even call him Batman; they called him Vengeance. They were like,
yeah.
he's Vengeance. Because I liked that because it's kind of like Batman's gotten his message across to the city in his first year. The action scenes that were in it, I did like. There's basically three. Here's why I gripe about the action scenes is that we saw all of them in the trailer. You know what I mean? Like we saw the car chase, we saw the first initial fight, like we saw, there was one other one where he fights somebody, and I think that I didn't watch that trailer, but I think in one of the newer trailers I saw a glimpse of it. And I was just like, oh, I've already seen this. Like I like the scenes, they were just, they were already shown, so it kind of took away from what those scenes were trying to do. That was the downside. If they would have had one or two more action scenes, maybe that we hadn't seen before, like I was talking to Jonathan on the phone, and I was like, I kind of wish they would have just added like, they could have had a small action scene. It helps with pace. That's why I say that. It helps with pace because it helps people get back into the movie when they're been sitting. If they would have had
3-hour movie, like it's just like man, that's a long time to have like what 3 action scenes total.
Yeah, I mean there was some stuff at the end, but it wasn't really. We'll talk about the ending too in a little bit because I think that's where you and I kind of probably would say that's kind of where it fell short. A lot of people are saying that too. It's not just us. But as far as what I liked, I did like the action scenes that were in it. I always thought they could have. What I was gonna say is I always thought they could have just added like maybe he's going in to search for a certain area and there's some bad guys out there waiting to and he could have beat them up. Maybe some Riddler thugs. Something like that. Like he could have just like had a quick little fight scene and then he goes in. That wouldn't have taken away from the movie. And maybe he did. Maybe they had some of that stuff already in mind. But let me see. What else did I like? What else did you like about the movie? I'm trying to think.
I did like Selena Kyle's relationship with Batman. Like it started off like strangers and there was a lot of flirting and stuff like that. I love the flirting. I thought it felt authentic and it felt like they actually had chemistry with each other.
Yeah.
So I like that about it. I also love that Batman wasn't super like you couldn't tell if he was into it or not. It was just like he was like that one point where he like grabs her face and he's like staring at her. And I'm like, oh snap, is he gonna kiss her? And he's just like,
yeah,
condolence works. And I'm like, oh okay. Yeah, he's so focused on the mission that like this other stuff is like in his peripheral. Like it's like
that's how he should be though, right?
Yeah,
that's exactly how he should be.
Yeah, so I love that aspect of the character. Also did like that he did save people. So I was kind of concerned that it would just be like, and sometimes superhero movies can get so obsessed with like trying to show the bad guy, the good guy fighting the bad guy that they forget that like they're a superhero. They save people. So I was really happy that we got to see him actually save some people who were in danger, especially like towards the end of the movie. He really really became his goal. So that was nice to see. I think there was something else I liked.
I liked the. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I liked that the cops had personality. They weren't just like blanket covered. Oh, they're all just bad. Like a lot of times we hear that like, oh, they're all just bad. But like we actually got to see like Batman have interactions with the cops, and the cops would go out and do their own thing, and you can tell like this is a corrupt department.
They also weren't all bad, which is something we find out later, right? When they arrest Carmine Falcone.
Yeah,
he was like they all show up, like, or a good bunch of them do, and it was like, okay, that's cool to see that like
there are some of them who are,
Gordon does have a police force or a part of a police force that is backing him.
yeah.
That was good. Um, I thought I actually liked the guy who played Carmine Falcone a lot. And I know you didn't like him. I did
Nah.
like. I've seen him in other stuff too. I can't remember his name, but I thought he
It
did a
was more of
great
an
job.
appearance. I think he acted well. I just think the appearance was what threw me off and took me out of
Mm.
like him being a mob boss. I was like, this guy, like of all the guys that you would want to like, who would you be scared of? Like you're scared of this. Like he just didn't look imposing to me. I guess is my point. Like when I think of Carmine Falcone, I'm thinking like an imposing figure. Like if you've seen Long Halloween and Carmine Falcone, he looked like he's built like a brick. Like he's like just like this stout looking dude. And
That's
I'm not
fair.
saying he has to be like in shape, but he just looks imposing. His physical stature is imposing.
He doesn't have to be like Kingpin. He just
Yeah,
has to
no,
be
no, no.
like he has
He
to
just
be like threatening looking.
Yes,
Is what
exactly.
you're
Just
saying.
just from his appearance has to be threatening. So I got the take they were going for. They were going for more like the soft spoken imposing guy. Like he speaks softly, but his words have
Yeah.
power. But like
Oh.
I don't know. It just in my opinion, when I think of the appearance of a mob boss,
Mhm.
I'm thinking like Robert De Niro. Like someone
Yeah, that's fair.
who at
Yeah.
least looks tall and imposing of a character.
Mhm. Or at least on film he does, right? Because
Yeah.
I don't think Robert De Niro is that tall, but he plays characters like, he has so much confidence.
hmm
Um, I liked the Penguin a whole lot more than I thought I
Oh
would.
man, yeah.
Yeah, he was so good, right?
Wow,
Like,
I was very surprised. One of
yeah.
the things that I thought was probably going to be the worst casting ever turned out to be a really good bright spot in the movie. I was very
He's good.
surprised.
And Jonathan, I didn't know this by the way, but they're actually doing 2 spin-off shows of the
Oh.
Batman. So they're doing a Penguin
Why?
spin-off show.
Why?
I don't know, man. I mean, don't knock it till you try it. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, you know what? I like the movie. The shows might be good, but anyways, they're doing a Penguin spin-off show.
So
where
that
you're
Matt
seeing-
Reeves is directing both shows, is what you're telling me.
I know he's producing both shows, so
Okay.
he does have. So I'm assuming he'll be doing the story, but
He's a
I don't
busy
know if
man.
he's. Yeah, I mean he's really into it. He's a big like. The thing with Matt Reeves is he's very much like a Christopher Nolan type, where he, not in the sense of style, but in the sense of telling a story. He loves to have a long story that he's putting across multiple movies, like
Okay.
Christopher Nolan does, right? Like Christopher Nolan, he always loves to leave his movies open ended because hey, we might get another movie coming along. He did that
Yeah.
with the Batman films where he did a trilogy, and we know that Matt Reeves is doing a trilogy. So I think what Matt Reeves is probably wanting to do is just tell other stories in this universe that are like connected. I'm just hoping they'll be well done. But they're doing a Penguin. We're not here to talk about the Penguin show, but they're doing a Penguin show where it's going to show his rise to power, and they're doing a Gotham PD show, which we've already talked about. But I thought they were supposed to be like merged together into one. They're actually going to be two separate shows.
Interesting.
So yeah, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it is. But anyways, I did like the Penguin though, so I'm down to get a little bit more of him. I just hope he's interesting enough to hold his own show. Is kind
Yeah.
of what what
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about. So they did a great job in Gotham with the Penguin character. Especially because he didn't start off like I thought I would like him, but then they did such a great job with his character. Him and Riddler in that show is like amazing. So hopefully we'll get something to where we can appreciate this just as well. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. Anyways, what else did I like? Because there's a lot to like about the movie.
Yes.
I really enjoyed. I told Jonathan this. I really enjoyed all the nods. I enjoyed all the nods to the comics and to the video games and everything like that. Like you can see that throughout the movie. Like if you are like, there's some Long Halloween in there. There's some Hush. There's some. I heard there was Year One Batman influence in there and Year Two, but I've never read Year Two. I don't know as much about Year Two Batman, which was like a little comic book series that they did for a little bit. But I will say like this really felt like a young Batman, a young Bruce Wayne, like someone
Yeah.
who's just kind of, and like I was telling, like what I personally liked about the movie, if this was what the director was trying to do, is I felt like that Year Two influence was everywhere. So like in the way that he fought, in the way that he went about his actions, like the way he kind of treats Alfred, even. Like he tells Alfred at the very beginning of the movie, "You're not my father." Like I was like, dang. Like I was like, okay, calm down a little bit. But this is kind of the knock that I've been hearing about Bruce Wayne from people, and they're like, well, he was kind of moody, and he was kind of, we didn't get to see very much of him, and he seems like he's kind of, he doesn't talk to people, he's antisocial. And I'm like, I think that's exactly how you would be, because they say at the beginning of the movie that he basically doesn't go out anymore in the open. Like he's basically just, I'm just focused on Batman.
Yeah.
That's all I do.
He
And I'm
barely
like,
sleeps.
yeah, and I'm like, that would be depressing. That would make you antisocial. You wouldn't want to talk with people.
Yeah, do you
You
know
know
what,
what I mean?
what do you know what lack of sleep does to you?
Yeah.
As a social person, like
Yeah.
you can't be social when you don't have sleep. And
Yeah.
that was early on was one of Alfred's points that he hadn't been getting enough sleep because he'd been just being up all night trying to be Batman.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, and that's why I was trying to emphasize early on that when they say this is his second year as Batman, they don't mean this is literally like he's done 2 full years. This is the beginning of his second year. So this is
Yeah.
basically like he was Batman for 1 year, and now he's like, okay, this is now let's talk about what's going to happen this year.
Yeah.
And also like the voiceover at the beginning kind of lays the foundation for what's been going on and what's going to happen because he talks about how it's kind of getting to him that he hasn't made any impact yet.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he assumed that he was going to come maybe 3 months in and crime was just going to stop.
Because that's such a young person thing to think too, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's such a young person to expect that
an inexperienced take.
Yeah,
and I've never done before.
And I saw that inexperience throughout the movie in lots of ways, and I really enjoyed that because I think that's what the director's trying to show is that like he has faults. Like, and I actually think at the end of the movie that's why he doesn't necessarily win. In a way, like you brought that up last time, and I was like, well, I think that's why he doesn't win, right? It's because he's supposed to be inexperienced.
Yeah.
And that's also probably why the Riddler didn't die at the end of the movie, because we want to bring him back to face someone who's more experienced, and to see that growth. At least that's what I'm hoping. It really feels that way when I saw it. So that's what I liked. You see that thread. If you keep that in mind while you're watching the movie, for anybody who's watching this, if you keep that idea in mind, this is a year 2 Batman. It explains a lot of like for instance, I agree with Jonathan on this too. One of the things that we kind of didn't like is how much he got shot. Like he gets shot a ton in this movie. Like it's almost
basically impervious to bullets in this movie.
It's kind of unrealistic how much he gets shot. Like it's kind of like that's the thing is like they didn't even explain his armor at all, and you're like his armor must be incredibly amazing. Like because for him to like take all these bullets and be like
still move that fast, right? Because you would think like if he's taking that many shots, maybe he has like metal plating on, but that would be heavy and weigh you down. So you would think he wouldn't be able to move as fast, but he still moves pretty fast. So you're like, what kind of bullet resistant magic did he summon upon himself? Because he gets like, you guys, when I say he gets shot a lot, if you haven't seen this movie yet, he gets shot a lot. He takes like a lot of direct shots at him. They're not like, this is not like the stormtroopers like shooting around him. This is like they're like literally like bang bang like right at him.
Like shotguns in his chest,
in his chest, like direct like point blank range.
Which it made me laugh because I'm like, man, this Batman's like a tank. But it's also kind of like this is the reason we're probably having a gripe about it. If they would have just leaned heavy into like the mythology of Batman, it would have been a little bit better, but they go straight to like this is a realistic take.
Yeah.
They kind of try to show that it's a realistic take because there's the scene with his cape, which is kind of cool, where his cape kind of like turns into like a squirrel wingsuit that you see that the Navy SEALs have used and things like that, like military,
I laughed
right?
when he fell. I laughed when he fell.
Yeah, it was funny when he fell. But I was like, he goes into that and then he kind of glides, and so they try to add all this realism to it. Yet you're seeing him get shot a bunch of times, and you're kind of like, oh man, like why is he getting shot so much? But also, if we take that away from a year 2 perspective, it also makes sense that he's getting shot a lot because he's very inexperienced, and he's just like, I'm just gonna come in and wreck shop, and it's like that's probably not the best way to do that. Like even when he knocks at the door at the club, I'm like, why are you doing that? Why don't you just sneak in?
Yeah,
But he
I
just
was thinking the
decides to
same
like
thing.
barrel in,
But I think that goes with the vengeance line, right? Because he's trying to enforce his will on everyone else. He's trying to be like, I'm the big bad now. Like if you're afraid of anybody, be afraid of me. That's not. I mean, the
Yeah.
whole voiceover at the
That's
beginning
true.
was him trying to introduce that theme of like, I'm the guy you need to fear. So I'm not gonna sneak behind you and take you out. I'm gonna come right out of the shadows. You're gonna see me coming, and I'm gonna beat up everybody. And if I take a
Yeah.
couple shots along the way, that's fine, but
Yeah.
it will build my sort of mythos about people like, oh, he can't die, bullets
Yeah,
bounce off of him.
he didn't seem, in the Nolan movies, for instance,
Yeah.
you really see his espionage come out, and you don't see that as much in this movie.
Oh,
like
yeah,
he's definitely not trying to hide
I
as
didn't
much.
realize that as much when I first saw the Nolan films. I didn't realize that much, but he takes people out like so quickly. Like you just see a flutter of his cape, it's like poof, and the guy's gone, and you're just like, so did he knock him out? Is he dead? Like what did he do with him? Like where's the body at?
Yeah, that's true. That's like a good and bad thing at the same time, because you kind of like you ask those questions because it's supposed to be a realistic take, but at the same time you're like, well, that was pretty dope that he just like took that dude out because he's Batman. So it's just weird. It's kind of where it's really like where you're seeing the comic book and then realism mix.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if this is realistic, this should be happening. But it's like, well, it's a comic book movie, and it's like, yeah, I guess so. But anyway, so you don't really see as much of the espionage. I think you'll probably get that more in the future. Because I'm guessing. I think right now.
Espionage, do you mean like Predator mode, like in the Arkham games, like where he's kind of like secretly?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. That's a great way to.
I was thinking when you said espionage, I was just thinking about like him sitting on the rooftop with the goggles, and he's like watching Catwoman get undressed.
Oh yeah. Catwoman get undressed.
That's such a creepy scene. I was like, this is so creepy.
I think my brother said something like, "Why's he got to do that?" I was like, "It's detective work." I was like,
"It's
detective work, man."
Detective work. Probably something Gus would say.
He's
right?
like, "I'm."
Like,
yeah, you just hear. That's right. You just hear Christian Bale's like, he's like, I'm looking for clues. Like, I'm looking for clues.
I didn't do it right. This is how you do it, right?
Yeah.
Gus.
Yeah. Looking for clues. Anyways, no. But what I kind of mean more is acting more like a ninja.
Yeah.
He's trained as a ninja. Secrecy. I said said perception, but like, you don't want people to really see you. You want to be hiding in the shadows. That's kind of what.
That was definitely Nolan's theme for sure.
Yeah, that was definitely Nolan's theme, and they kind of don't use that here, which is fine. It's just in the comics he kind of uses both. He knows when to be showing himself, but then he also knows when to hide in the shadows, so to speak.
Yeah, but
so it's.
I will say though that's another interesting point to bring up though, because we don't know if he actually got trained by the League of Shadows. Because remember,
that's true.
Alfred says he's the one who trained Bruce. He said, "I can teach you how to fight, but I can't teach you, whatever." So it sounds like Alfred trained him. So no, we don't. Maybe he doesn't know. He doesn't. Maybe between this movie and next movie, he goes to League of Shadows and gets trained. For real.
Yeah, but would you like that though?
No,
I don't think you'd like that.
No, I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like that at all. But I was like trying to think of reasons, because I was like, I had the same thought while I was in the theater. I was like, he's not really being sneaky about it. Like he kind of just like walks up to you and starts fighting you instead of like trying to go behind, or around, or because I thought when he knocked on the door, I thought he would like draw all the presents to the front of the building and then maybe go behind the building and come in that way, and so no one sees him. Yeah. But he literally just walked through the front door, like he. Yeah,
that's kind of what I mean. I'm like, that's kind of funny, but it's not a bad take. Like I'm not gonna criticize the movie for doing that, because it's not really a bad thing. It was just kind of like, I noticed he didn't do that. I hope we get more of that in the future, but I also think that's something that comes with knowledge, right? Because if you're a young person, you're probably going to be like, I can just walk in and take out all these dudes. Like, I know what I'm capable of. But like, as you get older, it's like, that may not be the smartest way to get to the big bad or get to the boss, right, of this place. It's like, maybe I should just like secretly take out a couple guys and then just kind of like go in and be like, all right, hi, I'm here. Like that might be better.
Yeah.
So
And they
But
don't,
we'll see.
and I will say that they don't play it bad. Like it's not like he's invincible, right? Because he gets beat
Hmm.
up a lot in this movie.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when he walks through the front door, what you assume would happen happens. Like he gets hit, people shoot him. Like he gets punched in the face a couple times. Like it. I mean, he
Hmm.
does get beat up in this movie, so it's not like
Yeah, he
they
does.
they don't do a good job about that.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's he takes a couple hits actually, which I
Yeah,
think is also supposed to show that he's young. Because I think what we're used to seeing is a Batman who you can't pull any surprises on.
yeah,
But it's like that's a young inexperienced person. Like that's gonna happen, But eventually they're gonna learn through all the fights they've been to. So that's kind of where I'm excited to see like a Batman in his prime in this series. I think will be really interesting and fun to watch. But anyways, and I also wonder if they're all gonna have this kind of noir take, or if they're going to be a little bit different. Maybe they're not going to be as much about the detective story in the future. Maybe we're still going to have those detective elements, but maybe you know what I mean? Like maybe
yeah.
we'll have it, but maybe it won't be as heavy-handed. I'm not sure. Um, I liked the Riddler a lot personally. I liked the Riddler take on it. I know Jonathan did not, but
Appearance, man. Appearance is everything, man. It just
hey man, I'm telling you, I bet we get the cane in the future. All right, the cane and the hat in the future. That's what I'm
yeah.
telling you.
I didn't like who they picked for it. I mean, he was
I
fine.
disagreed.
He
I
was
really
fine,
enjoyed
but
his performance.
I didn't like who they picked for it.
That's fine. I really enjoy. I mean, Jonathan wants them to always cast the guy from Gotham. That's fine. Always
No,
pick
you don't have
him.
to. But there, I just okay. So I think what the movie was trying to do was trying to bring Batman and his cast of villains into the 21st century, right? And
Hmm.
so it's like, someone with this kind of personality, what would they look like? They would probably look like the guy they cast. Honestly, like if I'm
Hmm.
being honest about it, he probably would look like that.
Hmm.
But I really enjoy the comic book's take on Riddler. Not that it has to be exactly replicated, but something like it is what I
Hmm.
like,
See,
and
in
that's just
my
my
experience,
taste.
yeah, and see, in my experience of the Riddler, I thought he was very much like the Riddler, for
Yeah,
me.
and that's
I
what I mean.
mean,
Like I thought his lines were good. I thought they wrote him well. I just didn't like the person they chose to pick for that. I mean, like no shade on the actor. I thought he did a good job. I just I wasn't a fan of the of his face. I guess.
yeah.
I'm sorry to say that. Like I didn't like his whole getup, but maybe in
It's
the
like,
next
man,
one.
that guy's poor wife, man. I just no, I'm just
No, maybe when they like maybe in the next movie or in the show, we'll see him actually
kidding.
get embrace his identity as the Riddler, and
Hmm.
stop being this kind of serial killer type vibe that I was getting from him.
Hmm.
So maybe we'll see
Hmm.
him change his appearance a lot, and he'll embrace that role. Because I remember the first time I
Hmm.
saw the Gotham's Joker, I wasn't super on board with it because he didn't look like the Joker at all. But
Hmm.
when he embraced his like who he was, then he really became the Joker, and I was like, okay,
Yeah,
that I'm on board with that. That I'm on board with. So
yeah. I mean, for most people's the interesting thing about this series is that for most people's this is what I find. For most people's knocks against the movie, you can almost kind of erase it with like, well, it's a young Batman. So like there's evolution
yeah,
coming. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Because that's how I take it anyways. Is like, well, there's evolution coming, so it'll probably change. At least you hope it will. Like for instance, I don't really want to see him in the same costume like 2 years down the road. Like when he faces Batman again, I don't want to see him in the same costume.
yeah,
I don't. I
yeah,
want to
with the
see him.
mask and everything. Yeah,
Yeah, I want to see him in a more Riddler type costume.
yeah,
And that's so. I guess we're kind of getting into. We'll probably bring up some other things we like. We're probably about to talk about things we don't like. Is kind of where we're leading. So, one thing I didn't like about the movie is they kind of do the Nolan thing where they don't want to lead into some of the comic book campiness of it. Like they don't call him Edward Nigma. They call him Edward like Nash. Is it Nash or
Nash and
Nashton?
Norton, I think.
Yeah, Edward. It's like Edward Nashton or something or Norton. And I was kind of like, bro, just call him Edward Nigma. Like just call like that's his name in the comics. It's like if you don't want to call it's like if you don't want to call Dick Grayson Dick and you call him like Richard or Richie
Yeah,
or or something, or if you call Tim Drake like Tim Doug or Tim Tim Downey.
what was he?
It's like what?
what was the Robin's name in Dark Knight Rises? I just watched that and I thought it was hilarious. He was like, "Well, maybe it's my real name, Robin." She's like, "I like that name. You should use that." I was like, "Why?" Okay, that was worse than his actual name.
Yeah, they
Like
call I forget his the police
Blake,
officer.
like Officer
Blake.
Blake or something like
Yeah,
that,
something
or
like that. Yeah, and it was kind of again, right? It's like just call him Dick Grayson. Like he would, and I actually was watching a video last night, and they were like, the sad thing is he would have been a great Dick Grayson.
yeah,
He would have been a great
absolutely.
Nightwing. Like
Absolutely.
he would have played that character really well if they would have leaned into it.
John
Um,
Blake Robin or Robin John Blake, I think is his name. I googled it.
yeah, John Robin Blake,
John
probably.
Robin Blake. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why is that his name, Robin? Like, why is that his legal name? That's weird. You know, like he should have been like Grayson or something. Like maybe it's under Grayson.
That's what I thought he was gonna do. I thought it was gonna be like, okay, yeah, well maybe it's not a
Mhm,
Dick, Richard. And I
mhm.
was gonna be like, oh, okay, cool. But hey,
Yeah.
whatever. It's not like he actually became Robin. So
No, it's at the end of the movie too, so it's kind of pointless at the end there. It's like, all right. But I mean, I like the idea of him becoming the next Batman, I
yeah.
guess. But it was kind of like, you know, it was just kind of like I would have. Here's the other thing too. I hope in this trilogy we actually see a Robin. We have never gotten a live action movie like good version of Robin. You know what I mean? Like who is like Dick Grayson. Like
Do you
that's his
think do
name
you
is Dick
think
Grayson.
people are people you think people would frown on the child like in this sort of a gritty universe, do you think it would be like socially acceptable to bring a child to face the Joker? Like in the comic books it makes sense, right? But like in a gritty universe that we have, like would that be an acceptable thing to do? Like would
I
people
think
like
if
will
you
parents
age
take
it
their kids to see them?
I think if you age it up it would be fine. Like don't
Man.
don't make don't make him like 12 or 13. You know, like I think that's the youngest Robin I think was like 12 or
Yeah.
like
So
maybe.
wait, you think like what, 16, 17 maybe?
Yeah, make him 16, make him 17, and he's just this annoying kid who figured out who Batman was, and he's like, I'm not going away, you know? And it's like, all right, you know what I mean? Like
Wait a
he
minute,
ends up
do you
showing
want
up.
like Jason Todd, like, or do you want to start with Dick? Do you
I
want
want
to
to start
start
with Dick Grayson. That's what I want to start with. Give me Nightwing. What a Nightwing movie, man. Anyways, it's fine.
Titans? Go watch Titans. That's what they're
No.
saying to you.
I'll watch Young Justice. They
Yeah,
do a good
yeah.
job with Titan.
It's a much
With
better. It's a much
yeah.
better. It's a much better Dick Grayson.
Yeah, much better show of Nightwing.
I,
Anyways,
I would love I would love though a Robin in the series, a younger
yeah.
Robin. Not like I didn't like I mean Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a good actor, but I didn't like him being that old. And I was like
Yeah.
you guys feel like you're the same age, so he can't
That's
really
why they
talk
made
down
him
to you,
Batman,
you
right?
know?
My question was always like, but he's not trained like Batman.
Yeah, yeah.
That was always my
Yeah.
thing, and I was like, who's gonna train him? He just has the suits and the technology. Like, he's probably gonna do a really bad job. Like that was
He's
what I
probably gonna
thought.
get killed on his first outing,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure. Like, and he doesn't have Alfred either.
Yeah.
Who's gonna
No.
save him when he gets hurt? Alfred, help me! Like when it's raining and he's laying in the rain. Like,
Yeah, yeah, he just
you
got
know.
lit on fire.
Anyways,
That's what I'm talking about. We're sorry, guys. We were talking about the voices beforehand, right? And
Mhm.
that's what I mean. The voice got too much for me when like scenes like that. He's like, Alfred, help, help, Alfred. It's just
Because
like,
I would always wonder, I was like, why is he talking in his Batman voice to Alfred? Like, why isn't he just like Alfred? Alfred, help me, you know, like he's like Alfred, or like when he yells Rachel, Rachel, yeah, that was,
oh, then it gets cringy. Like it gets really cringy in those scenes where it's like you feel like it's unnecessary. It's just like it's
yeah,
really really cringy. Like the introduction to the like who is he? I'm Batman. It's like okay, that's fine. The swear to me, it's that's okay. But then like Rachel, it's like oh gosh, oh no,
mhm.
it's a little bit too much for me. I don't sign off on that one. But like why did you say that name? It's like okay, yeah, that's the Batman voice.
Yeah.
Do you bleed? It's like yeah, okay, yeah.
Do you bleed? Yeah, that's hilarious. What I'm trying to think of the other. Let me see. What was the other thing I was
Did you
gonna
like
say?
the ending, or did you want to hold off on the ending?
Let's hold off on the ending just a
Okay.
second. We'll save
Okay.
that for like when we're done. Um,
What about the musical score? How what do you think about the?
Oh, I love the music. I was actually just listening to like last night. I wanted to play it because I saw an ad for like they were like the album's now on Spotify, and I was like, oh, it is. And I played like the Batman intro. Oh man, dude, it's so good. It's so
Okay.
good.
Okay,
Um,
my only gripe with the movie was Ave Maria. I can't like the song was overplayed. I felt like
yeah
it was
they
really
overplayed
overplayed.
that. Yeah, it was supposed to be like the Riddler's theme, right? Was like what they were trying to do.
Yeah, yeah, I got
Um,
that at the end when he sang it because that was fine. But like playing the song throughout the almost the entire movie was just like
yeah,
overdoing it. It was overdoing it, but like I understand the point of it. It's just like it was just too much for me. That's what was driving me insane.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I think I did like I liked a lot of but I mean to be honest the soundtrack is just like it's really good. I like the here I'm gonna
Don't get us copyrighted, man.
no man I'm not gonna get us copyrighted. What you talking about? What you talking about, man? I'm just gonna play a little bit for you guys. All right. We do not own the rights to this music. All right. So
Yeah,
here
that's gonna
let's
stop them from copyrighting us.
it will it will okay I'm just gonna play the like the beginning like you just hear Batman walk and he's like yeah. I mean, that's so good. That's so good, man. Like he's like the sheriff coming to town. He's about to blow everyone away. He's just like, boom, boom. Anyways, I loved that about the movie. I thought that was really well done. Um, I liked Alfred. I did like Alfred. The thing is, we just didn't get enough of him, really.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
we did not get enough of him.
Which is
But
weird though, because the movie was so long.
yeah, I liked the one thing I liked about it. I think here's why I'm excited about his Alfred. I think we're gonna get an Alfred that's closer to the one from Gotham because he mentions things like I taught you how to fight. You know, like I didn't know what to. You know, I wasn't that great of a dad. I didn't really know what to do. Um, everything like that. And I was like, it's I was like, it's just I kind of see it going in that direction. So I'm hoping we're gonna get more of a military kind of guy because we haven't gotten that in the movies,
Yeah,
really. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
think we got some hints at it in Bruce Wayne or not Bruce Wayne's, blah. Sorry, Ben Affleck's dark like Batman. We got a little bit of that with his Alfred, which I liked also. There really hasn't been a bad Alfred if you think about it. There's never been one that was bad. That was just like, oh, it was terrible. Like they've all done a great job of doing it, and anybody can really have a favorite. Like they're like even from the Batman '66, like the old ones, like that Alfred is really good. He's kind of like not as in the movies, or in the show as often, but when he is in it, he does a good job. They've always had a good one there, so I think that's good. I liked. Let me see. So the thing with here we'll talk about this. The thing with Catwoman, excuse me, with Catwoman and with Commissioner Gordon, is that when they're with Batman, they give good performances. Like I'm not saying that they're bad actors. Kind of like what you said with the Riddler. They're not bad actors, right? Like I wouldn't say. In fact, I wouldn't say anybody in this movie is a bad actor. Whereas
Yeah.
some in former Batman movies, I might have been like, oh, I just hated like this person just did not do the character well. It's not that they didn't do the character well. Like the writing for all these characters is really well done. The writing's really well done. The thing that wasn't it just they didn't really feel like they had a personality. They kind of had like one emotion.
Yeah.
It's kind of how it felt.
Did it feel like everyone was trying to brood? Because that's what I kind of felt like. It felt like everyone. I couldn't like.
That's
The only
that might,
time
that's a fair point.
I think the only time which is why I love them when they're with Batman, is because you can tell the difference between them and Batman. But
Mhm.
when they're by themselves, it kind of feels like everyone's trying to be Batman. Like they're all kind of
Mm.
broody and dark. The one thing I will say that I loved about Christopher Nolan's films was that there's a lot of jokes in that. I didn't realize that there's a lot of jokes in Batman
Mhm.
Begins, and everyone jokes
Mhm.
like. And some of them are really unnecessary, like Jim Gordon saying he needs to get one of these. Like that was so unnecessary, and I was like, why even put that in there? Like,
Because there's some old white dude laughing at it. He's like, ha ha, yeah. That's what I'd say. Yeah, I need to get one of
Are you talking
these.
about your dad?
Yeah, like my dad would say. My dad would laugh at that joke. Yeah, so like Jim Gordon, for instance, all the scenes that he's with Batman, it feels like it's right out of a comic book. Like it
Yeah.
literally feels like you're reading the scenes. Like in my brain when I was watching it, I had memories of like reading certain scenes from like The Long Halloween and some of the and Hush and some of the bigger stories, and I was like, oh man, this just feels like exactly like the character. But the thing is, he kind of there's some scenes where they're not in a crime scene and Jim Gordon's performance is exactly the same. So like there's the scene where they're like I actually love this scene a lot when they're in the police station, police department, and all the guys are basically trying to attack Batman, and Batman's just like punching people and trying to defend himself, and then he's like, I'm gonna talk to him. I'm gonna talk to him, okay? And then he like brings him over, and then he tells him.
I
But
love
when
that
he,
scene. I
yeah,
really like that scene
it
a
was
lot.
really great.
He was
But
like,
when he,
"We gotta get you out of here," and I was like, "Yeah, let's go, let's go."
I was like, that's right, that's my boy. But the thing is, when he delivers those lines, he's like, listen, man, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna get you out of here. I'm gonna hand you the keys. And then that's how he talks when he's on site with him too. He's like, what do you think happened here? Okay. It's like it's like, okay. Like, he wasn't a bad actor. His presence was very good. I think that's also what you get with Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright's he's, he's a good actor. He's just a good actor. It's just, he didn't, there's some things that were off about the character. I think, I can never remember his name. I think the guy who played, him in the Dark Knight trilogy was perfect. I thought he did a great job as Jim Gordon. Jim Gordon adds a lot of character to Jim Gordon in that series, and we didn't get very much in the Batman. Gary Oldman, that's his name.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman did a great job. But and then the same thing with Catwoman. So I'm the only fan who likes Anne Hathaway Catwoman. I'm realizing that.
No, actually, I liked her a lot more the second time after I watched it again. So
Really, you did?
Yeah, I actually did like her a lot more than I thought I did.
Yeah, she's not as when it comes to Catwoman, she's not as coy as I would say. She's a little bit more direct, which is also like the Catwoman we got though in this movie. But I think she plays the poor person really well. She has the right temperament where she gets kind of annoyed with Batman and stuff, and I liked her in that movie. But in this movie, in the Batman, Zoe Kravitz, again, her dialogue's good. The scenes she has with Batman are good. I actually didn't really like the relationship this early. I would have rather them kind of been like, we're begrudgingly working together, if that makes sense. Like I would rather her still be kind of a little bit more like a villain. You know what I mean? Because we have that one scene where she's trying to rob somebody, and that's kind of it. You know what I mean? And he like doesn't do anything about it because she's pretty. So it was kind of like I would have rather had a little bit more of a just distant relationship, and then kind of maybe towards the end hint at something. Whereas at the end it was kind of like, oh snap, they're in love. That's kind of how it felt, and I was like, I don't really like that. What did you think? Do you have anything to say about those two characters?
No, and just because I want everyone to know, just because we're criticizing them doesn't mean we don't like the movie or because we don't like the characters. I actually really liked both characters a lot in this movie. I do think I had my issues with the Catwoman character wasn't her the actor, but my issue was more with just her selflessness. I felt like it was way too early for her to be selfless. Because in the comics, at least, Batman usually teaches her to be selfless. He's trying to remind her of her selflessness. Like, hey, it's not just about you; it's about other people too. Because her whole life, she's just been looking out for herself.
Mm-hmm.
So to hear her like really caring about her friend wasn't like I wasn't super like excited about that. Just because I was like, man, that's not really what I remember of Catwoman.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not to say that she can't be Catwoman and care about her friend. I'm just saying if I'm asking for what I want in a Catwoman, I want her to be very, very selfish from the get. Like I want her to be like, It's all about me. If whatever else happens, I don't really care.
That's
I'm
kind
just
of what I
concerned about
mean by
myself.
begrudgingly working together. Like they
Yeah,
should have been. She should have been a lot more distant. Maybe using her charm, but to get what she wants, not
yeah,
because she finds him attractive. You know.
yeah. But it seemed like she was more like Robin Hood than she was Catwoman, where she's like, I'm stealing from the rich to help the poor, because she really cared about the
Yeah.
lower class citizens of Gotham, and she did not care for at all
hmm
the upper class citizens. Um,
Well, I mean, she's like that in the comics
yeah, which I
to a
was gonna
degree
say
as
is
well.
it's
But
fine, but that's not her whole character arc is not about being Robin Hood. It's about being selfish. She's a very selfish person. She
hmm
only looks out for number one. That's her.
yeah,
So when she
yeah,
steals, she's not stealing to go feed an orphan or
hmm
help the poor her poor stripper friend or whatever. She's stealing because she wants what they have. They have expensive jewelry. She wants it, so she's gonna go stake it.
hmm
And again, the person who helps her become more selfless is Batman, because
hmm
her attraction to him reminds her of the good that she has in herself. So I just felt like it
hmm
was very early in the series for her to suddenly be very selfless, like from the
hmm
jump, like just naturally like I want to help other people. And I'm like, so what
hmm
is Batman going to be teaching her, or is she teaching Batman now? Is that the whole point? Is that she's trying to teach Batman, which kind of seemed
hmm
like that's what they were going, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I think we agree on her. I just didn't think. I
No,
thought
no,
her
no, no,
like
no, no. Well, hold on, we don't agree, Eric, because I actually like Zoe Kravitz in this movie, so I don't think we agree.
I liked her in the movie.
Oh, okay. I thought you had a problem with the actress. Now I was saying like, no, no, no. The difference is
No,
I
no,
like
I
the. Go
no,
ahead.
I didn't. No, I said that I liked her like I liked Jim Gordon.
Okay.
I thought she said the lines well and everything, but she didn't add very much character to it.
Okay.
And then I also agree with you on I didn't think like I could see her being a good Catwoman. I can definitely see where they were like she's a good Catwoman. But her motive I didn't really like the motivations they gave her like we're
Okay.
talking about and everything.
Yeah. Okay. So
I
yeah,
don't think she
we do
was
agree.
I don't think she was a bad actress. Like I think she did a good job, but I like I said I think over we said this in the spoiler free portion. I think overall the movie is casted really well. I think the movie is casted
Strange
really really well.
castings, but is casted well. Yes.
Yeah.
They really
It was
found the
kind of
diamonds in the roughs, man.
yeah, it was an out of the box. Like a lot of people were like Robert Pattinson, okay, and then it was like
Yeah.
this person like the only
A black
person that
guy
I
for Jim Gordon? What?
well
Colin
and he
Farrell for the Penguin? I'm like, no, that's more like.
well, and Jim Gordon's kind of the only guy that was casted that I was like, I can kind of see that because I've seen him in other stuff, and I was like, he might be a good Jim Gordon. Like I could kind of see how he's gonna act, but everybody else, I was like, I don't really know
Yeah.
how they're gonna do it. So, pretty good. I thought it was pretty solid. Let's go ahead and talk about the ending now because we're kind of wrapping it up as far as the interview goes or the
Interview.
review goes. Interview. So yeah, what did you think about the ending?
Didn't care for it. That's probably where I disliked the movie the most.
hmm
And why I gave it
I agree.
the lower rating is just because like there's a lot that I want from my Batman stories. I want him to be devoted to the mission. That's the utmost important thing, is that he's devoted to
hmm
the mission. Like he and that's what like gets him in conflict in the comics. You read the comics, what gets him in conflict with other people is his devotion to the mission over people. Like
hmm
he's so devoted to his mission of cleaning Gotham up, to restoring Gotham to, to taking down
hmm
evil, that he forgets his personal relationships. Like he forgets
hmm
about being Bruce Wayne because he's like, no, it's about being Batman. That's the most important thing right now. Like he forgets about
hmm
girlfriends and friendships. Like whenever he runs into dang, is it Thomas Elliot? Anyway, one of his friends.
hmm
Whenever he runs into one of his friends, they're like, man, I haven't seen you in forever. It's like because he doesn't care about his friendships. They're only to
hmm
serve. They're only a means to serve an end, right? Because
hmm
he's so devoted to this mission of I like I. He
hmm
feels a burden about it. Really, it's like it's a
That's kind of
burden
why the
on his
Justice
shoulder.
League is important to him because
Yeah,
he has like working friends now. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
So.
exactly. Exactly, and I mean, he honestly views it as a war. Like this isn't like just
hmm
like a hobby or a day job. It's like he's at war with the
hmm
criminal element in Gotham, and so like the lesson that Batman needs to learn. This is what I was telling you. I think the ultimate lesson that Batman needs to learn is that people are more important than his war, and that's what he
hmm
needs to take. He needs to be able to trust and have faith in the people more than he has
hmm
trust and faith in himself. because he tries to shoulder all the burden of Gotham on his
Mhm.
own shoulders, and it's like there are people who want to help you, and he's like, no, I don't need help. I do this solo. So him
Mhm.
learning that lesson in the first movie felt like way too much, way too fast. I'm like, so what else is he gonna have to learn if he already learned his ultimate lesson? That the
Mhm.
mission is secondary to the people. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh man, like he already learned that. And also, I really didn't like that they let Riddler win and destroy Gotham so
Yeah.
fast. Like in the
Well,
very
yeah.
first movie, he fails.
See, I think this is where I slightly disagree with you because I feel like the Riddler didn't really win because the Riddler doesn't feel like he won at the end. He feels I guess you can say he won in the sense of like Batman didn't save the city like you'd want him to save the city, right? Cuz
Yeah,
like in a they almost kind of that's the weird thing is like the ending kind of mirrors the Dark Knight Rises a little bit because like they blow up the bridges and all that stuff and
but
then
the city gets destroyed.
yeah, so it's kind of like it's like it kind of mirrored that a little bit. I saw someone complain that I thought this was a good thing because I didn't think about it. It doesn't bug me too much, but they were like what's they said what annoyed them was that like the Riddler's suddenly breaking these water these water barges that are protecting the city that we had no idea existed until like conveniently the end of the movie. And I was like, that's kind of a good point. I don't agree because it didn't actually bother me when I watched the movie, but like that's kind of fair. That's a fair objective point. It's like we just suddenly these water barges are gonna come in and swamp the city. I didn't hate the ending. I thought the ending was way more confusing than it should have been though
Yeah,
for how simple the plot was. Um, I didn't really get what they were trying to say with the ending.
yeah,
I mean, my only thought was, okay, so this is the second year, so like, is this like, in the next movie, are people going to think that Batman is like their savior, like they're like kind of like how Central City sees the Flash in a way?
yeah.
Like,
He's
is
like an
this gonna,
actual hero.
yeah, is that like where it's ending because he saved a bunch of people at the end, which was very anticlimactic because it was so slow, right? Like he
Yeah,
got there and he got down there and saved them, and then he was like leading them out, and it was kind of like, okay, this dude in a bat outfit is like leading them out into the. It was just it felt really weird.
yeah. But also,
Um,
I was thinking a lot of people must have died. Like a ton of people must have died. Just how like long it takes him
yeah,
to like grab one person, attach them to his little belt, go up, then go back down and grab
I was
one more
actually surprised
person.
nobody got electrocuted in the water.
Yes, me too.
I
Me
was
too.
like, how did nobody get electrocuted? Like they're all in the water, they all got electrocuted. And I thought there would be more capitalization of the intensity of the moment. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And there really wasn't. It was just kind of like, well, the city's flooding, and Batman he's like not really sure what to do because he's overwhelmed because he's a new Batman, so he's just gonna try to save these people, and then he's gonna smile at the camera as Catwoman goes away. Like I
yeah.
was like, I don't. Yeah.
It did feel the whole ending just feels unresolved. Is what I came to my conclusion was like
Yeah.
it just all felt unresolved. Like the city's still flooded. Everything's still very much underwater, but we're
Hmm.
closing the book, and I'm like, so wait a minute, what happened? Like, what's next? Which is why I think a lot of people who are like, I'm kind of iffy about the movie, they're looking forward to the second one because there was a good foundation was built in this first one to where you could have a really good second movie. Like this feels like a very
Yeah.
like Batman Begins kind of movie. Like it's like,
Yeah.
wow, that was a really good movie. That was a solid movie. That was like a lot to build
Hmm.
on there. And then the second one maybe really takes you over the top.
There's a lot of setup for multiple things in the movie too. So
Yeah.
like, like they mentioned the Arkham family, which really hasn't ever been mentioned in like a movie before that I
Yeah.
know of.
Yeah. That's true.
So which is like that's a big kind of part of the mythos. They really add to the world in this one. There's tons of like world, like that's what I was told before I saw the movie. In some reviews they said there's lots of world building. And now that I think about it, yeah, there kind of is. There was a lot of like setup for this is what our world feels like and this is what it's going to be going forward. Um, but I think that kind of took away from the story. The story kind of was hurt because of that. I thought the story was too long, mainly because basically the time they spent on his parents thing,
Yeah.
which could have been saved for somewhere else, or it could have been if they were gonna have to add it, they could have instead of because what happened was it almost felt like you were taken out of the whole Riddler storyline for a second, for like 30 minutes. Like it was like the Riddler, the Riddler, the Riddler. Oh man, his parents, and it was like stop. Insert this part from another movie and put it in here, and it didn't feel good to me. So
Yeah, I didn't. We talked about this. I did
Yeah.
not like the storyline about his dad. I did not like it at all. It was so distasteful to me, just because like Thomas Wayne has always been a ideal father figure, kind of good guy. Like he's just a naturally good person, and he's one of the rare, the very very rare good people, especially a rich good person in Gotham. Like there's almost none of them. He's just probably like the only good rich person in Gotham. And his philanthropy, like using his wealth to trying to rebuild Gotham, was the source of Bruce's motivation to become Batman. Like he was like, okay, my father tried to do it this way, it didn't work. Let me try a different tactic, but still the same goal, which is to save Gotham. And so to have his dad turn into this like kind of guy who's like, well, I don't want my wife's personal information to get out there, to the point where I would go to a mob boss and tell him about the situation, knowing that I'm up for an election. Like, is he not smart enough to know that like this might be used against him? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't make any sense to me. It didn't make any
Yeah.
sense, and it kind of felt like it devalued Bruce's mission.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is like that's that it gave Bruce what it was trying to do, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I know it was trying to set up a future storyline of like who killed his parents, right? That's kind of what it was trying to do.
Just like Amazing Spider-Man. That's what it feels like, right?
Your parents are still alive. There's a briefcase, and it doesn't have to do anything with this story right now.
The substation. Go into the substation and use this coin, this special coin that you just so happen to find after breaking this. It was really
lots of coins. There's like 8 coins. I don't know where your dad gets these coins from, but like there's lots of these coins. Yeah, I mean it was a little bit more well done than that.
Yeah,
I'll give them credit, but
yeah.
they were trying. You might be able to see some changes being made going forward if they realize people didn't like that storyline that much, because they kind of used it. If you watch the movie, they basically say, like, he's like, well, then who killed my parents? And Falcone says it was Maroni, but then Alfred says he thinks it's Falcone.
No, it's Falcone, yeah. Or it could have been someone random, is what he says. He said, or it could have been someone random.
So he's like, but Alfred's like, I want to believe that it's that person.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's hinting at as setting that up. So I guarantee we're gonna have a movie where the storyline is him trying to solve his parents' murder. Like, it's probably what's gonna end up happening. But
here's my question though, you would think though, like, and this I could be wrong. Maybe I just don't understand the psychosis of a child, but you would think like he would have the person's face engraved into his memory, right?
For someone
who killed his parents, like you would think he would know specifics of what he looked like, what he smelled like.
Wasn't that one of the first things that Batman did?
Yeah,
when he became Batman. I thought it was. And then they would add twists to it later on, right? Like after he thought it was Joe Chill, someone would be like, but Joe Chill was just like a man that was used to, for this, and then he would be like
somebody else.
Yeah, and that was always the twist they'd add in the story in multiple different comic books later on. But he would usually always find out at the end of the day it was just Joe Chill. It wasn't like anybody else behind it. At the end of the day, it was him.
Robber. Yeah. It just, I don't know. I mean, we're only a year in, so it's not like he has to find him right now. But I would think that would be your number one objective, is to find a guy who killed my parents.
Yeah, because that's what drives him, right?
Yeah.
So, I think they're kind of building to that, but I didn't like that they felt like they needed to put dirt on his parents to find that. Because in every other place, you're right, his parents are lifted up. I didn't really have a problem with them being like, your dad made a mistake, because it does make his dad human, and it does help Bruce be like, okay, I can make mistakes too, like it's gonna happen. So I'm very back and forth with it. I'm like, I don't like it, but I like what they were doing. I can't make a decision.
I'm firm. I do not like it. I don't like Thomas Wayne being a bad guy. Even like the hint of him, like, I'm not saying that he's he can't do bad things. I'm just saying
Mhm.
the hint of him being like, yeah, I went to a mobster and like asked him to deal with this guy for me, and that was a mistake. It's like,
Mhm.
dude, that guy is dead now. Like you're basically an accessory to a murder.
Mhm.
That's what his dad is. His dad is basically a criminal. He's like the same kind of guy that Batman
Mhm.
would arrest and like throw in jail. So like,
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it, and I also didn't like. I think the thing that made it worse for me, and I was telling you this, I didn't like
Mhm.
how they tried to clean it up. Like they tried to clean it up, being like, well, he didn't necessarily ask him to kill him. He more was just like take care of it, but he had no idea he was going to kill him. He had no idea he was going to do that. Like that was,
Mhm.
he didn't even know. And I'm like, come on, how smart is your dad? Like, is he a dummy? Like, is he stupid? I thought he was a doctor. I thought he was like running to be a mayor. Like, is he a dummy?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
I mean,
know.
it seemed out of character for him to go ask a mob boss to
Yeah,
to
yeah. Of
take
all
care of something.
people, like you're a billionaire. Like you
Yeah.
couldn't find someone. I don't know, a contracted
Yeah.
hitman like that you could pay. I don't know, something that was a little less obvious.
Yeah. Which I mean, they kind of say it like he's not worried. The way that the Riddler tried to use it was like he was worried about his campaign and he was worried about all this
Yeah,
stuff. And then he was like, no, he was well. Alfred was like, no, he was worried about his. He didn't care about the campaign. He was worried about his child and his wife, which makes it feel a little bit more redemptive. But he still went and did it, so it's kind of, it was just unnecessary. We'll just say that the whole scene was unnecessary. Didn't need to be in this movie.
they
They
should
could
have
have
cut it out. They should
they
cut it.
could have used that 30 minutes to give a better ending for the story. Is what they
Yeah,
could
I
have done.
thought he was gonna find out that like, oh, his parents actually didn't have anything to do with that at all. It just
That's what I
like
was thinking
someone
too.
planted evidence or something like that. Something crazy happened, but his parents were actually innocent of all of it.
Yeah.
But no, they went a totally different direction, which was, I will say, it was I didn't suspect, I didn't like see it coming at all. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
snap! His dad
Yeah.
actually did do it. Oh snap! Wow, that was
Yeah. I think in my opinion, the ending of the Riddler story arc was good. Where so basically what Riddler ends up what Batman, the surprise twist that Batman ends up finding out is that he is the person who he basically the Riddler was created because of him, essentially. Because Batman is going around saying, I'm vengeance, because Batman asks him, he's like, Who are you? Who are you? And he's like, I'm vengeance. He's like, I'm you. Like that's what he's like, I thought we were doing this together. I really liked that twist. I thought it was great. I didn't see it coming. That was kind of the end game of the story of the detective story, is like, why is Riddler doing this? Like, what is driving him to do this? What's his motivation?
yeah,
And when you find out that his motivation is Batman, which is really kind of from that would be you would feel like your whole year plus that you've been doing this has just gone down the drain because you're like, I've been doing this the wrong way.
yeah. People missed the
Right.
message. They
Yeah,
didn't really understand it.
yeah, it's like there's people who are copying me and trying to be like me, and they're doing it the exact wrong way, which I think is what the ending was supposed to show, right? Is like, this is how he's different than Riddler. He's saving people. He's not out here to kill people or take people down in that way.
Yeah,
But the messaging was lost with the confusion of the ending. That was, like, that was really what was kind of like, okay, what just, it was just confusing. But the end scene when Riddler is in, the end scene with Batman where Riddler's in lockup and Batman's talking to him, I loved that scene. I also loved how the Riddler got really angry and was like, no, no, this is not how it was supposed to go. No, 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 and then I think he was like, you're not as smart as I thought you were, is kind of what he
yeah,
says. And so I think when I heard that, I was like, this is what's going to spawn the competition aspect between the two. That's what I saw.
okay,
I was like, this is what's going to spawn that, because what's going to happen is if we ever see the Riddler again, the Riddler is basically going to be like, I know I'm smarter than you because you didn't catch on to my plan. But Batman's going to defeat him, and then the Riddler's going to be like, no, I'm supposed to be smarter than you. You're not supposed to get the better of me ever. You know what I mean? So I
yeah,
think that's what's going to happen. But we'll see. We'll see. That's just, I felt like this was an origin for the Riddler in a way. It felt like this is where the Riddler's going to be going.
I can take that.
That's what I think. Anyways, what did you? So I got to talk about this before we talk about the big surprise at the end, which I don't know how I feel about that. But So, have you thought about? I said you thought it was adrenaline, but I said that it was venom. Have you thought about that anymore,
No, I still thought it was adrenaline.
bro? I'm
But
telling you.
I will agree. I think your Venom thought is probably more in line with what it was, just because the way he acted after he took it was more than just an adrenaline shot. It was like
Mhm.
something took over him.
Yeah.
So that could be interesting. That could be
Also, why would it? Adrenaline's not green either.
interesting.
That was the other thing. Like, I was like, why would they show it distinctly green and then him have those habits afterwards? Also, like, that also seems like a young Bruce Wayne thing, right? Like, it's also the storyline is actually when he's old, right? And he uses Venom to keep going,
Yeah.
because he's addicted to being Batman essentially, and he creates a Venom thing. So I don't know if they're gonna go in that line, but do it when he's younger. Um, but I thought that was kind of strange.
So do you
I saw.
think he's already? Do you think he's already taken down Bane, or do you think that the Riddler was the first of the masked people to come up?
I think that Bane is it's a storyline that will come up in the future, and I think that it's one that he's working on, because I think
Okay.
one thing that seems to be apparent from this is that he's probably working on multiple cases at one time. This story was just focusing on this one story, right?
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I get the feeling that he's working on multiple stuff, and he probably picked that up off the streets, right? Because that's how we found out about Venom first, I believe, is he found it on the streets. People were using it, and then it led him to Bane. So I'm assuming that's where he's using it, but he saw a purpose for it, and it also seems like something he's using in dire straits. So like when he really needs it, that's when he goes for it, right? When he's really in need of
And he needed it.
of
Boy,
a
did he
boost.
need it.
Yeah, he was getting like really beat up there. I was like, oh my gosh.
Why were there two falling scenes like back to back? That didn't make any sense to me.
Two falling scenes.
Yeah, like
I
him
guess I
like
don't-
hanging on like with the one arm like dangling, and they were
Yeah.
like two of them back to back, and I was like, why did they do that twice? I don't understand. But whatever,
Mhm.
whatever. I
Yeah,
didn't
I
like
mean,
the ending fight scenes with all the guys on the rooftop and stuff like that.
I
That
didn't
just
either. I didn't
I
either.
was over
I
it.
didn't either. Well, and they didn't. It was just so. It was very anticlimactic. It
Yeah,
was just very. It didn't. There didn't really feel like a threat because he obviously can't do anything. When you found out he wasn't going to do anything about the water being, you were just kind of
Yeah.
like, what is the point?
Yeah,
What's the point of
yeah.
any of this? Like, everyone's going to die. Okay, the city's going to be flooded. What's the point? Like, that's kind of how it felt.
That's
right?
that's literally like when the bombs went off. I was like, okay, so I guess the rest of the movie is gonna be about him trying to figure out how to stop the water, right? Like get the water out of the city. But it was like,
And they were like,
no, we gotta
well,
go to we gotta go save the mayor to be. And I'm like, that's important. Why?
they were like, well, the movie ends in 15 minutes, so we can't focus on that. Apparently I heard they were testing a 4-hour cut. There was a 4-hour and a 3.5-hour cut. I don't know what that would be about. I don't know if I'd want this movie to be that long, because I felt like it was already. Unfortunately, I felt like it was a little bit too long. So.
Release the Reeves cut.
Matt Reeves said he was happy with his cut, though. So the big surprise at the end is that the Riddler is in. Oh, by the way, I heard someone say that they were like, that wasn't Venom. Some other people thought it was Venom too, and they said that wasn't. Somebody said that wasn't Venom that Batman used. It was his COVID booster. It's like, ah! And then he just comes in.
if that's what it does to you, there's a reason why I don't want to see it. I'm kidding.
I was like, his COVID booster. That's hilarious. Anyways, the ending, we see the Riddler in jail, and then somebody says basically like he asks the Riddler a riddle, and it seems like this kind of scarred man. Like you can't really make it out. You just know that there's somebody in a cell who we think is the Joker. And then he gives a riddle to the Riddler, and then the answer is a friend. And so he's saying like, "I'm gonna be your friend," and then the Riddler starts laughing really crazy. I will say this about that movie: you know that the villains are crazy. You get that vibe, like there's something mentally off with them. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So, but yeah, and then it looks like the guy who is supposed to be the Joker, he makes lots of references to like, people think I'm a clown and all these different things, and he also looks scarred on his face, like right here. So we're all pretty much know it's the Joker. But what were you gonna say?
There's, I don't. Uh, I'm not sold. That's Joker. First of all, I'm not sold.
You're
I know everyone
not.
else is. No, I'm not
Wow.
sold. I'm not
Wow.
sold.
Wow. Wow.
It's just.
That's a hot take.
I didn't have enough. I didn't have
Is it
enough
because you're
to
in denial? You don't want it to be the Joker?
I really do not want it to be the Joker. I really do not want it to be the Joker. Like so badly. I don't want it to be the Joker. I have a little bit of Joker fatigue. I think is my problem, and
Mm-hmm.
I want someone else. Like there's so like, and this is what I keep saying. There are so many great. Like Joker is not the only great Batman villain he has. There are
Mm-hmm.
tons of them, and some of them we haven't even seen come to screen yet. Like we
Yeah.
haven't gotten Clayface yet on a big screen. Like with
Yeah.
the CGI and everything, we haven't gotten a Clayface movie.
That's true.
We haven't had a well, I guess we had a solo. It wasn't really a solo Two Face movie, but we haven't really had like who else? There's like a ton of his villains that we.
Ventriloquist. We haven't had a Professor Pig. We haven't
Mr.
had
Freeze. I
Mr.
mean, I guess if you
Freeze.
count Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I wouldn't say that was a solo movie. That was like what, like there's like three other villains in that movie.
We haven't had a good adaptation of Poison Ivy.
Yeah, we haven't had a
Um,
good one yet of her yet.
mhm.
I'm just saying his roles gallery is bigger than just Penguin and Two Face and Joker. Like
Mhm.
Joker is not the only villain that you can do, and I would prefer that to be like a third finale kind of movie. Um,
Yeah.
if not, if you weren't going to do it as a finale, I would have preferred it to be the first movie because then you could talk about how him and Joker keep going back and forth for all three movies, and not that
Mhm.
he has to be the main villain of all three movies, but that he can just be like a constant threat in all three movies.
Yeah.
Um, I just I don't want Joker. I know that's a hot take, but I don't want Joker, and so I'm not convinced of this Joker until I see him in the next movie.
We haven't had a Black Mask. Black
Yeah.
Mask would have been a good one.
Well, I mean, we did
Um,
have in Harley Quinn, the Emancipation of Harley Quinn. That was the Black
so
Mask movie.
I'm talking about a Batman movie, man.
We
Um,
haven't had a Deadshot either. Deadshot is another good
Deadshot.
Batman villain.
We haven't had. We
Deathstroke.
actually Deathstroke. We got him once, but not in like a Batman sense. Hugo Strange.
Hugo Strange
Uh,
would be another great one. Yeah.
Firefly, which we're actually getting Firefly in the Batgirl movie, and it's going to be played by Brendan Fraser. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
The Mad Hatter. I would love me some Mad Hatter, man. I'd like Man Bat, which I don't think they'll ever do, but Man Bat would be interesting.
Yeah.
Um, the Penguin, Poison Ivy, Riddler, Scarecrow, Solomon Grundy. There you go. The ventriloquist, Victor Zsasz. I'd like to see a good Victor Zsasz. That would be
Yeah, not
really
like an
freaky.
off-camera kind of
Mhm.
bad guy, like a serial killer. Like if you want, honestly, if you want to do another movie like this one, you could do Victor Zsasz. That'd be super interesting.
Yeah, that honestly, if they were going the serial killer route, that probably would have been a better pick.
Then the
But
Riddler,
I think,
yes.
yeah, that
Yeah,
would
I
have been
agree.
better. But they were trying. I see what they were trying to do, but there's also Anarchy. There's I would like to see Calendar Man. That would be interesting. Because
Red Hood.
Calendar Man's Red Hood. You could do Red Hood. Um, there's and then there's all these other like smaller ones, right? So there's Clock King and there's Clue Master. There's Copperhead. There's the Electrocutioner, who's from the Batman comics. There's the Great White Shark. There's KG Beast.
You could even do like him versus Amanda Waller. That could be a super interesting story because
Yeah.
they've had some great storylines in the past.
Oh, there's Tweedledee and Tweedledum. I forgot about them.
Hmm.
They're in it. So like there's lots of different
Or you
characters.
could just do him versus Gotham City. That's always been a storyline with Batman. It's him trying to fight the corruption and trying to keep people from being corrupted within the city. Him versus the police force. Him versus Jim Gordon. That's been a storyline in Batman several times. Him going
Yeah, for
against
a while.
Jim Gordon.
I think that they said something about the that we might be getting which it would fit. It would honestly fit really well in this show or in this movie series. But they said the crap. What are they called? The secret society that's behind Gotham. What's it called? The Court of Owls.
Yeah.
So I've heard that that's probably a potential storyline that they're going to do in the
Everyone
future.
likes the Court of Owls. I don't know why. I'm not huge on it. It's okay.
I think that I think it's been overdone, and we're
Yes.
probably a little tired. The first time I heard about it, I was like, "Oh, that's such a cool idea, right?"
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
everybody's trying to get on it. It would be cool in a movie. I think it would be cool in a movie. But it would make it. It'd probably make it even more mainstream
It's very much
than
like
it
the
already is.
Injustice storyline. It's like it was in a video game once, and everyone's like, "That's the coolest thing ever. Let's all do it. Let's everyone do it.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
everyone do it everywhere." And it's like
Evil
no.
Superman. Yeah. Well, it's like if you're
great.
if you're a DC fan and you've watched other mediums besides the movies, you've gotten tired of Evil Superman. You've gotten, even though we haven't really seen it in the movies, right? We haven't really seen this we've seen Evil Superman a little bit, but they were gonna do it in the movies. But we've seen the Court of Owls like a bunch of times in TV shows, in animated series. We've seen, I mean, a lot of stuff has kind of already been done in other mediums. It's just the movies that are really slow to pick up the pace. I'd like to see a Killer Croc movie. That'd be cool.
Killer Croc would be cool. Yeah.
I'd be down with some Killer Croc. So there's lots of villains that you can choose from. It's just that I don't know why people don't, you know.
Well, it may be just because some of those villains are maybe lesser known, and so it may not be as big of a draw. I mean, anytime you put Joker in the trailer, you're going to get a ton of people to come out.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
So that could just be the reason. It could just be simple as if we want people to show up for the movie, we're going to have to put Joker in here somehow.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, though, I was fine with them doing the Riddler again. I saw somebody on my Facebook feed say, why can't they get a different villain? And I understand that, but I was fine with them doing the Riddler again because he wasn't done very well. Like, I mean, for the time he was, but they were trying to do the campy version of it, right? They were trying to do the heavy
can I say
campy
that
version.
I thought that was a perfect casting. Like,
oh, Jim Carrey is the Riddler?
Yeah, in that movie, I thought they had perfectly casted so many people in that movie to play their parts well. I just think the script was just really bad. The script was bad. The overall idea of the movie was just wasn't good. It didn't come up with stuff. But Jim Carrey as the Riddler, perfect. Honestly, I think he could probably do a good Joker.
Yeah, I think especially now when he's older, he could definitely do a good Joker. I'd like to see William Dafoe as the Joker. I think he would do a great Joker.
Really?
Man. He's got the face, bro. Have you ever seen the pictures of him?
Yes, I have seen the pictures of him.
Yeah, man. Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe. I've always wanted to see him as the Joker. Once I saw the fan art, I was like, oh. I was like, that's creepy and maniacal. He also looks, his face shape is like, he looks like the Joker too.
Oh my gosh! Wow! I just googled Willem Dafoe and it says as Joker. The first result.
See, like here's
my gosh! Yes! Wow!
Right. Some of these are even creepier too. Like this one. This one's kind of creepy. It's a little computerized.
And he has the voice. And he has the voice for it.
Oh yeah, he does.
Totally has the voice.
He could do the laugh really well. Mm-hmm. Here's a better one.
I mean, if you just watch Spider-Man 1, you'll basically see him play the Joker, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not as in depth, maybe not as bad as the Joker could be, but yeah, definitely. But anyways, yeah, I mean, he would play a great Joker. I'd be down for that. Yeah, I like that they redid the Riddler though. I was fine with that because we hadn't had the Riddler in like a long time.
Yeah.
30 years. And also like the Riddler, he needs to, people think that Batman's villains are all really campy. That's kind of the stigma, right? It's like he's really only got the Joker and Scarecrow, and that's kind of it, And so we're trying to create like Mr. Freeze would be a great one to redo. Poison Ivy, I think Poison Ivy would be a great one to redo. Take those back a little bit. The Penguin was cool. I liked seeing the Penguin. Take some of these characters back and redo them and make them
better.
Make them better and more not as campy. Not because those two movies. I don't know if people know this or not. I think you know this, but the two movies, Batman Forever and then Batman and Robin, those were actually loosely based on the old classic Batman 66 show, which that has its own charm for what it is, but in movies it just doesn't work, especially when you had Batman and Batman Returns before it, which were a lot darker and serious.
Yeah.
in tone. It's kind of like, why are they so cheesy now? Like I hate I hate in Batman Forever. Batman's first line is he's like Alfred asks him. He's like, do you want any food or any, like he's like, have you eaten dinner? And then it doesn't show. It just shows like his lips and in the cowl, and he's next to he's next to the Batmobile, and he goes, I'll get drive through. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, stop. I'm gonna get I'll get drive through. Like I was like, I hate that so much, Val Kilmer. Um anyways, and then Clooney's got his Batman card, his Batman Visa card. It's just so annoying.
Oh man, yeah. How do you
I
think, how do you think they captured the Joker? That's my question. Because if he's already in Arkham, then was that year one Batman?
man, I don't know. I don't know if he's something that was I really don't know, man. I really don't know. My guess is that the way he was created was I kind of want to see how he was created. Are they going to do the whole like are they going to do the whole like classic origin for the Joker that everybody's kind of agreed is canon now, where they do what's that storyline called again? Where Batman accidentally like pushes him into
The
you
Bat?
know
Oh, Tom the Red
yeah
Hood.
yeah. But what's the story called that's from?
I don't know. I thought it was Red Hood.
No, it's crap. Why can't I remember any of this right now? Everyone's gonna be like, "You like Batman? I thought you liked Batman." I'm like, "I do, but I just forgot." Crap. What's that called? Oh, they made a movie of it. The Killing Joke. Thank you. So the Killing Joke. I don't know if they're gonna go that route where that's how he was created. Is Batman created him in a weird way because he had one bad day, or if they're gonna like I don't know. I have a feeling Batman doesn't know of Joker's existence. That's what I think.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
how I took it. Is that he doesn't know of his existence yet. Maybe he ran into him when he was the Red Hood. But do you want to see who played the Joker?
Not really. I hope it's
No.
irrelevant to the ultimate like the next movie.
Well, okay. I'm still gonna show you anyways. Because you're gonna be like, what? That dude?
Like, is that like a good what or like a
I don't like it.
oh
You know who that is?
yeah
Yeah. From Eternals.
yeah.
Yeah. He played the Joker. He doesn't look very Joker-esque to me though.
I said the same thing about the Riddler. I said the same thing about the Riddler.
We'll see. Yeah, but here's the thing. I think they felt like they could take some liberties with the Riddler because the Riddler is not as iconic as the Joker. You know it's true. You know it's true, man. You know it's true. You know it's true.
Uh, yeah. It was
And
a good movie. It was a good movie.
also, the Joker's been proven that you can make him the way he looks in the comics in real life, and it doesn't look cheesy.
Yeah.
People haven't done an authentic take on the Riddler. Yeah, we had him in the onesie when it was Jim Carrey, and that was kind of it. Like, but I think you can do the Riddler live action. It just hasn't been proven that you can do him in his classic garb yet. So it's more of a risk with him. But anyways, yeah. But it was a good movie, guys. That was our spoiler review. So I'm gonna take the spoilers banner down because we're done talking about it.
Real quick, I
Yeah.
wanted to throw out my theory about the Nolan films.
Yes, I wanted to hear about that. So what's been going on with the Nolan
So
films?
like I told you guys, I just recently
I'm gonna give you the
rewatched them.
spotlight real fast. You've got
I
the
don't need to.
spotlight.
I'm not gonna rant or anything like that. I just had to. Not, I thought I wanted to pass by you.
Okay. Well, I gotta grab something out of the kitchen real fast. So
Okay.
I'm
So
still
you're
gonna
gonna
get.
give
I'm
me this.
still.
Me in my dirty room, and I almost cleaned up too. Block it. There we go. Oh, okay. Anyway, here's my thought. So I was thinking about the films, and I was like, man, is this really a Batman film? And I was thinking about the lessons that Batman learns, and the Batman's trying to like teach other people and his villains and stuff like that, and the lessons they're trying to teach Batman. And it made me think that the Nolan films aren't actually Batman films. They're actually superhero films. So they're Batman, and as far as he wears the suit, his name is Bruce Wayne, and he has Batman's cast of villains,
Hmm.
but not Batman as in the way that Bale acts as Batman.
Okay.
So as in like Batman's so much of a loner, right? Like that's like
Hmm.
his like he even has trouble trusting Jim Gordon first of all, and he only trusts him because he needs an insight on the cops.
Hmm.
But when it comes to like working with anyone else, he's like, no, I'm gonna do everything myself. Like I'll bring the guy
Uh-huh.
to justice. I'll do all that kind of stuff. But in the Nolan films, Batman's like very trusting. Like he trusts Jim, and then he trusts Two Face, and he even trusts the citizens of Gotham as well, and he trusts the
Oh,
cops.
did you say in the Nolan films he's
Nolan films, yeah,
trusting?
yeah,
Oh. Yeah, I mean, he tries to play it off a little bit, doesn't he? But he
yeah,
kind of.
yeah. But for the most part, he's like very, very trusting. And so my thought is, I think they're more really good super movies. I don't think they're really good Batman movies, which is why I think The Batman is probably a better Batman film than the Nolan films.
I would say they. I think I agree with you, because in the Batman they work really hard to develop the character of Batman.
Yeah,
Not talking about Bruce Wayne, but that's what we mean by Batman story. It is like it's his. It's not about Bruce Wayne. And
hmm
I actually don't think his Bruce Wayne was that bad, but we didn't really talk about it because there's not much to say. There's just not much that's there to like get, you know what I mean? I think they'll bring more Bruce Wayne up in the future, but like it's not about Bruce Wayne. That's not what it's about. Um, I think, yeah, I think that's probably pretty accurate. That's probably why it also won an Oscar, you know, because they were more. There's a reason why a lot of people like there's a reason why Marvel fanboys like those movies, right? And they
hmm
don't like any other DC movie, but they like those movies. It's because it's not really just a Batman movie. It's a well told movie overall
yeah,
that has a great story. Um, that whether you're a comic book fan or not, you can enjoy it. And I think you're probably right. Maybe superhero movie is a better way to put it.
yeah. I
It's
think
not.
I think it's disguised as a Batman movie. That's how I put it. It's a
Mhm.
superhero movie disguised as a Batman movie. So everything around
Mhm.
you screams Batman, but if you really take a look at the character, he doesn't really act like Batman, or he doesn't even go about the mission the same as Batman.
Mhm.
But it's like cloaked in this Batman, so that way people go watch the movie. But it's really a superhero movie because honestly, it kind of feels like insert superhero here, and you get this.
Mhm.
But the message is more important than the character, because
Mhm.
Batman in the comics at least, it wasn't so much about being just a symbol that anybody could be. It was a symbol that he was. Like
Yeah.
he's even hesitant to bring on Robin just to be Robin, not to be Batman.
Mhm.
And then when anyone talks about becoming Batman or wearing his signal, he's like, "No, you got to answer to me first. Like no
Mhm.
one can just go out and like put on
It's
the
really
Batman
important to
brand."
him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's not just anybody can be a superhero or be Batman specifically. Because
Mhm.
but in the Nolan films, like Batman says several times, he's like, it's not about me. It's not about who I am. It's not about what I do. It's about this symbol that anybody could be a hero. Anybody can pick up the mantle and become Batman next, which is why it's so
Mhm.
easy for him to literally hand the keys to Batman over to somebody else who he doesn't know, he
Mhm.
doesn't even know if they have experience or not. He's just like, well, anybody can be Batman, and so here you be Batman.
Mhm. Yeah, which is kind of that's actually what Bruce kind of avoids in the
Yeah,
comics. That's I hadn't thought of
exactly,
it that way.
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, they they kind of so what the Nolan films do in my I'm not really disagreeing with you, but I'm kind
Yeah,
of bringing it from a different way. The point of Batman in the comics of his character is you can feel the most connected to him because he's human.
yeah.
So I think that's what Nolan was trying to portray in that. Maybe
Like
not
if
necessarily.
if a human was Batman, this is how the story might go, right? Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
sort of. So like the whole like anybody can be Batman. That's kind of the feel you get sort of from the comics
Okay, yeah, yeah,
as far as relatability. Like I can relate to him the most, more than Martian Manhunter, more than like in
Superman,
some ways more than
Aquaman,
Superman,
yeah,
because they're all different species of people, whereas he's a human, right? He's the guy who that's actually what probably a lot of people like. So it is Batman, but it's also, people say that about Spider-Man, people say that about Iron Man, like it's almost kind of like a Marvel trope is that anybody you can be any of these people who are behind the mask, right?
yeah,
So it's yeah. So I kind of see what you're saying.
yeah.
I would still say it's a Batman story, but it does reach a broader audience for sure.
Well, I think my point would be like it's not even that it's a bat. I don't think it's a Batman story because I've never seen a Batman story like that. Because a
Yeah,
Batman story
that's fair.
isn't
That's fair.
about like trusting. I mean, he learns to trust obviously over, but it takes like years and years and years and years of
Mhm.
him like knowing people before he trusts anyone, and even then he's
Mhm.
still hesitant to trust. Um, and his his mission is it feels different from the Nolan films. Like in the comics,
Mhm.
his mission is like I was talking about before. It's a war. It's a war on crime, and
Mhm.
he views it as a never-ending war. Like I'm never going to stop being Batman.
Mhm.
And love isn't as important. Friendship isn't as important. Even my relationships with Alfred aren't as important as this never-ending mission that I have.
Mhm. Yeah.
But in Nolan's film, it seems that like as soon as he can, he's like ready to drop the mantle. He's like,
Mhm.
well, I mean, not. I mean, at first he is hesitant. At first he is hesitant, but as soon as like Rachel's like, well, we can be together if you just drop the mantle. He's like, okay, I'm looking for the first chance I get to drop this thing. So he like
Mhm.
goes on with the lie of, well, Batman killed Dent in order for the criminals to all go to jail so he can stop being Batman.
Mhm.
And so to
It's
me,
kind
that's
of
like that's different
yeah.
from like the actual Batman's mission. He's like, no, I'm never going to stop being
It's
Batman. I'll
more
always need
so
to be
the
Batman.
story of like a hero than
Yes,
it
and that's why I think
is.
it's more of a superhero. It's
Yeah.
more of a superhero than it's a
That's
Batman story.
that's fair because I don't think so. To counter you a little bit, I don't think that story, that Nolan stories aren't a Batman story because I think you can say those things about Batman still,
Okay,
right? Like
that's fair.
I think you can say everything that Nolan's trying to say about Batman. You can still say it about Batman, but I agree that it's not, the character is treated as less uniquely like Batman in the comics and more of like an overarching hero
Yeah,
as a man who took up the mantle to be a hero, to
yeah,
be a symbol for people, versus like that was what Batman was doing. Like and it also, the essence of a Batman story is like the reason you relate to him is because he's a human, so therefore anybody could be Batman, right? Like that is a part of it, but that doesn't mean that
that's not
that
what
doesn't
Batman thinks.
yeah,
Batman
exactly.
doesn't think anybody can be
That's
Batman.
not that's not what Bruce thinks.
Yeah,
Like Bruce doesn't think that. Bruce thinks that he's the only person who he can be as Batman. But
yeah,
that's what you can take from the stories are
hmm
that, oh man, I could be Batman. Like
yeah. It just
that's what you
takes.
can get it from.
Yeah, I mean, the moral of the story is it just takes courage. All it takes is courage and someone willing to step in
Hmm.
front of the train or
I
step in
mean,
front of the
yeah.
bullet. And that's even the message that Bruce says he's trying to convey in the Nolan films is that I just want a symbol that people will see and it will give them hope and courage
Hmm.
that they could step up and be the Batmans of their own life. But like
Hmm.
not in the go out and fight crime kind of way, because the guy's in the hockey pants. He's like, don't do that. But he's like,
I'm not
but you
wearing
can,
hockey pads. Yeah.
but you can stand up to. You don't have to be afraid of crime anymore because this is your city. Like you're a part of the city, so you can be Batman in that way.
It's
You don't
about
have to
bringing
fear
people
them.
together and
Yeah, it's
uniting
about
behind
and
that
giving the
symbol.
city courage that we don't have to remain as this
Hmm.
filthy, drug
Hmm.
laden, crime laden, corrupt laden city. We can be something greater than that.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think it's a bat because I don't know that I've ever seen Batman try to convince people of that message. He's like, no,
Yeah.
criminals are going to be everywhere, and it's only up to me to stop them. I'm the only one who can stop them. It's
Yeah,
not
I don't
about
think
government
you're
being good. It's just about me going out there to stop crime. I got to be the one to
mhm.
do it.
I don't think you're the first one to make that comparison either. Like I think
Hmm.
I've heard that before, but you know that I think you probably know this, but the Nolan films were based off of A Tale of Two Cities.
Oh,
Like
okay.
that's what they were based off of. So that's probably also why you're getting that because they're the story that he tells, from you're going from light to darkness to light again. That's what he was trying to do. That he's getting that from the Tale of Two Cities because he thought Gotham was a good representation of that.
Okay.
So that's where, which I don't know much about the Tale of Two Cities. I'm very uncultured. But that's
No, but that
that's
makes sense. That makes
that's
sense.
where he's drawing it from. So that's probably also why you're saying it feels more like a hero or superhero story than it feels like explicitly Batman.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to say it. It's disguised as a Batman story because it's not the he's pulling from comics for he pulls from a lot of comics for the what's for the aesthetic of the film. But the movies themselves are based in A Tale of Two Cities. That's where his narrative's coming from. So that to me that makes sense what you're saying. I wouldn't say it's not a bat like that. It has nothing. Which you're not saying this, but I'm
No.
saying from a dramatic end, I wouldn't say it has nothing to do with Batman. I think they are very much Batman stories, but they're from a different angle. It's more like they're telling what the reader sees and what
Yeah.
the reader experiences when they read Batman, right? But if you're being authentic to the source material, like Batman himself, Bruce is like always struggling with like I want to be Batman, but like I can't because I'm getting older. That type of thing, right?
Hmm.
So, which he does struggle with that a little bit, but he is also kind of like looking at like like he does want to run away from Rachel and things like that. Like that's obviously his motivation.
And then if he is
Um,
alive at the end of the third movie, then he basically stopped being Batman to
yeah.
go and have a love life, and and I can I be honest, I didn't like Michael Caine in the third movie. I really did not like him in the third
You don't
movie.
like Michael
He
Caine? Why not?
Alfred was so
I like Michael
annoying.
Caine.
Alfred was so annoying in the third movie. It was just like, dude, stop! Like this is it. Being
I built
Batman is
this
too
house
important.
where your cries were coming through the
Echoing through the
echoing
house.
through the building. Yeah, that his acting's so good though, man. Michael Caine is such a great
Yeah,
actor.
Michael Caine did fine. I just didn't like Alfred in this movie.
You
Like
don't
that
like the
movie.
storyline
Yeah,
of
because
yeah.
it was so stupid. Like I'm tired of people trying to convince superheroes to stop being superheroes. Like I just don't like that. That's so dumb. Like we need people out here who are willing to take the risk to protect us, like to protect citizens and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I
It's
mean
like,
to be fair though, it wasn't being done as much at that time. It was like around that time TV shows started to do that a
yeah, that's
lot.
fair.
Like an era like I feel like after that movie cuz it came out in 2012. After that movie I saw that everywhere. People were like, "Stop being a superhero." And it was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah." So I understand that, yeah. I get you. Well, anyways, guys, that's gonna be all of our Batman talk. We got one more thing to talk about, and then we're gonna call it quits. But I have to play us out of this segment using the video. I gotta do it one more time.
Yo, man, can I ask you a question?
Yeah. What?
Why everybody messing with the Batmans?
See? That's exactly what I've been asking myself.
It don't make no sense.
Why would you do it?
Why would you do that? Why would you try and mess with the Batman?
It's futile.
It is.
I wanted to keep watching. Whoop, that's a wrong scene. I wanted to keep watching the video, man. This is so funny.
Dude, did I ever tell you I absolutely loved what they did with Joker and Gotham? Man, I'm looking at the picture. This guy did such a great job. My goodness, they wrote the character so well too. Oh, wow.
I disagree, but it's fine.
What? You didn't like Joker in Gotham? What?
No, I didn't.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't. You
Wow.
want to know why?
I don't know. I don't
It
think
was
I do.
it was all the studio red tape around the character
Oh,
that really
you mean
frustrated
like
me.
okay, yeah, that's fair. That's
We
fair.
can't call him the Joker. He's Jerome, and it's like, but he's not the Joker because nobody's calling him the Joker. He's just acting like the Joker the whole time.
And
then
he
at
has
the very,
the Joker's outfit. He gets the green.
and then
hair.
they call him. I think they call him Jay at the very end.
Yeah.
They don't actually call him Joker. He's like, you can call me Jay, and I was like, ugh, like
And they
that.
basically,
That's
they basically
more
have a Harley
frustrating.
Quinn in the show as well.
Yeah,
have
they
a Harley
do.
Quinn in the show.
They do. You're right. Doesn't she? But she's not in it for very long, right?
I think she's only in it for like a season.
Yeah. So that's really what frustrated me. I also got really annoyed with because the other thing, his storyline is very sloppy because they were like, well, people want the real Joker, so we're gonna create this really confusing story of like he died, but he's not dead, and he's got like 2 clones or siblings, and then like like it was to give the people what they want. We're gonna which you can appreciate in some way, but also in another way, it's very annoying. So I was never I thought the kid acted very well. I just was frustrated with how they were trying to bring across the whole
Top 2
storyline.
Jokers, man. Top 2 Jokers. Top 2 Jokers ever. These are my top 2.
That's fine. I'm not gonna argue with you. I don't think I'll ever agree with you. I don't think I'll ever agree with you.
Well, you got someone over. So Heath Ledger, obviously, right? That's number 1. Who else?
What's wrong with Cesar Romero? What's wrong with Cesar Romero? Come on, man.
You know what? There was an older Joker that I actually did like from one of the older movies. Was it Cesar Romero?
I'll show you here. Let me see.
The one who was on the plane, the float, and he's like throwing out money.
That's Jack Nicholson, man.
Okay, that one. He's probably top 3. He's probably top 3. I don't think I like
top 3.
I don't think I like Cesar Romero.
Come on, man. Here, I'm about to show it to you right now.
No, I'm gonna say no. Well, I'm looking at his pictures now. I don't think I've seen this one yet, though.
Where's Bruce Wayne?
Mr. Wayne is not at home, sir.
Too bad. I'll get my revenge later. Right now, I'll settle for cash. Where's the safe?
My duties do not include aiding and abetting thievery.
Oh, no?
See.
Yeah, let's go. This is my Joker right here.
Please be calm, madam.
I want you to hear him laugh, though. His laugh is
Where's
good.
the safe?
Over there.
My, you poor little thing.
Behind the picture, sir.
I love Alfred.
Safe there?
Alfred, be careful, the Joker's an arch criminal.
I know, madam, but a very poor offense, sir.
You ain't gonna smash to the snippets.
May I point out that Snickens is a childish confusion should have no place even in so poor a vocabulary as yours.
Alfred, get him.
I've never seen this clip. This is hilarious. I kind of want to watch this show again. I have all the seasons. My wife bought them for me.
Stand back, I say, or I'll...
Oh no, he's gonna find the Batcave.
This? Don't touch that. A secret passage.
Oh no! Bro, I haven't seen this.
Holy cannoli, Batman!
That would have been a great time to say that. Oh no, there they are.
Alfred, what's happened? I'm afraid the Joker accidentally tripped the Batpole switch and mistook this for...
Is he not gonna laugh?
Then he's down in the Batcave.
He didn't quite make the Batcave, Master Robin.
Then where is he?
I believe he should be arriving presently.
Oh, because he did.
Emergency Batpole elevator. Fast thinking, Alfred. Thank you, sir.
Someone get me off this crazy dumbwaiter. I can't breathe.
Joker says he can't breathe, Alfred. Why don't you give him some breathing space?
Oh my gosh.
That.
No laugh? Okay, we gotta... I gotta find you his laugh.
It's lucky you didn't get around to washing our other costumes, Alfred, or else Joker might have found himself wearing a bat costume.
I think we better see about baby Jane Towser. Alfred, it looks like you can handle things here.
I believe everything's well in hand, sir. And the young lady's in the living room.
So cheesy. So great. Hold on. I gotta find his laugh real fast. That's
Snap, crackle, pop, Batman.
They have their own charm. You know what I mean? Like, there's something about them that's kind of fun. Here's his laugh. His laugh's pretty good. Oh, this is all of them. He's kind of got like the weird, like crazy. Here we go. This man.
All right, Joker. This is the one. All right, baby.
This is like the first episode he's in.
All right, Valor. Be a hitter this time. Be a hitter, Valor. Come on, babe. Hard to me. Hard to me. Let it hit. fun. Come, Stanley! Come, Ernie!
That was a good episode too. Anyways, I'll stop wasting your time with that. But his laugh is really good though. I got to give him that. Like his laugh is probably one of the better ones I've heard. He just has that like classic crazy maniacal like like that kind of laugh. It's really funny. Have you ever I'm sure have you ever watched that old movie?
No, of course not.
Oh, why, man? You're not a fan, bro. You gotta watch it once. I'm fine if you don't watch the show. You don't have to watch the show, but the movie's just great. It's great to laugh at and laugh at its ridiculousness. So, anyways, you're not gonna say anything about it. It's fine. You're done. Jonathan's tired, guys. Last thing we're talking about is for the two people that are watching here. Last thing we're talking about is we're going to talk about our new movie. We were going to start it last week, but then we realized, oh yeah, we have the Batman to review this week, so that's probably going to be our entire video. So we are going to be starting this week with a movie review. And what movie did you want to watch? A DC movie, or were you wanting to just start with the MCU films? What do you want to do?
MCU sounds fun.
That sounds fun. Okay, cool. If we ever get tired of watching those or need a break, we're going to switch to a different movie, or it may be a different superhero movie. It may be just a different movie in general. But so we'll start with Iron Man this week, and we'll watch that, and then we will go from there. And then also, Jonathan and I will be together next time we have an episode. So we're going to do an episode together. It might be a little bit shorter, but it'll still be fun. It's going to be, I'm visiting Jonathan where he lives. So we're going to do that on Sunday is what we agreed on, right? Is that
Yes,
what we're
sir.
doing?
Sunday.
So we'll not be this Saturday. We'll have an episode on Sunday. But besides that, is there anything else that we need to let people know about before we go?
No, but I would say go see this movie. This is a nice movie. It's entertaining.
Yeah, it is entertaining. It is entertaining. Before you leave, by the way, Jonathan, when you get off, I got to read you somebody who commented on my Facebook post about it, and it was really funny. I thought they were very upset for no reason, but it's a good movie. Go watch the movie. It's fun. You guys will enjoy it. It is a 3-hour movie, though. It takes a chunk of your time, so you got to prepare accordingly to where you're going to watch it. But it is worth a watch. I think it's one of the better Batman movies we've had. So besides that, this was Jonathan and Eric, and we were just visiting today, so we will see you next week. Bye-bye.